Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Every day when you log into ChumbaCasino.com, the ultimate online social casino, you get a free daily bonus. Imagine if you got daily bonuses in other parts of your life.
I chose French fries over loaded French fries.
I asked Stuart from accounting about his weekend, even though I don't care.
I updated my operating system without having to call tech support.
Collect your free daily bonus at ChumbaCasino.com now. And live the Chumba life. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Thank you so much for supporting WWE and NXT and me. You're so sweet.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
Just like Bill Murray never gets to fuck Andy McDowell, we never get any resolution on anything in this fucking promotion. Not even War Games can end the feud in this company.
Rich Rage.
Every single time she comes out, he goes, I was trying to help you. I was trying to help you. You know?
Because again, you have to be a simpleton to enjoy this stuff.
Statistically dumb and statistically poor. We should point that out.
Yeah, you're right. You have to be a simpleton to enjoy this because every time is the same.
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening? How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing well. You feeling festive yet? As the advent calendar at your house is ticking down, and do you guys have a gimmick? Do you guys have a countdown gimmick at the house?
No, they had like something similar to an advent calendar for Halloween this year.
Okay.
And every morning when they opened it, they fought over the little trinket that was inside.
Okay.
So TLB
put the
said,
kibosh.
No more calendars. No more.
They couldn't agree to, like, I take Monday, you take Tuesday. There was just no way to settle it.
Well, you would think that would be the easiest solution.
but they are children, to be fair. So
7 and 8 year olds, it didn't work out that way. So, and it was it's the same little trinket like every day, just like a different kind of little trinket, little Halloween gimmicky thing.
Now, were these candies or were these like little plastic toys?
No, like little trinkets, like like little cheap plastic toys.
Okay, okay,
$10 calendar thing with little toys and fun. And they were still fighting over it. You're
like, come on, you dopes. This is nothing. This is stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you call those? Like those stress balls with the liquid inside and the little styrofoam balls inside.
Yeah.
So one day it'd be like a ghost, then the next day it'd be like a witch. The same thing every day. And then some of them were like little wind up toys that walk on the like
the chattering teeth, the chattering teeth, like those style of things.
It's like McDonald's Happy Meal level toys.
Okay,
is what would be in these things, right? And they would all be Halloween themed, and they'd fight over them every single morning. They'd fight over them, because they'd open it before school. I didn't have to deal with it because I'm upstairs sleeping, so it wasn't my problem.
It was before 10 a.m. So
I went to bed an hour and a half earlier, and now I'm fast asleep. I didn't have to deal with it, but TLB had to deal with it every morning, and she's like, "That's it, no more of these calendars." They're supposed to agree every other day, but you know how that goes. Then then the next day a bat comes out, and the one kid wants the bat, but the other kid, forget it. It's a disaster. And then with this thing, see, it was a trick or treat. So sometimes you'd get a trick and you'd open your day and there'd be nothing in it.
Oh, okay. So the trading off days, that's not going to work because Monday the girl gets, the bat that you could wind up and it jumps on the table, but then the boy on Tuesday then opens his and there's nothing in there.
Yeah, he don't get shit.
Yeah, okay, that's not going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's an empty box, which I think is a funny gimmick.
I love that gimmick. Whoever did that is great. Now, they cause fights in various households across the country, but good for them on that anyway. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. Then they started cheating. Like once you start opening up the days.
Oh yeah, nah. Yeah, you're done now.
You could tilt the box and look like, and you could kind of see.
Okay.
You know, forget it. It was just so yeah. No advent calendars, no more calendars. That was the end of that because they were. And here's the thing: the little cheap little stupid trinkets inside. They care about it for like a day.
That's what I was going to say. I would play the long game. I would say, yeah, you can have that, and then they're not going to care about it. Then you can just take it from them. If there was one of the two that really badly wanted some of this stuff, they probably could have just played the long game and wait. But they all want it in the exact moment, and then 2 days later, it's just sitting in a corner, and then you throw it away.
Right. They couldn't tell you where any of these things are now. You know, forget it. You know, 2 hours later, he wants to play Fortnite. He doesn't care about the little trinket anymore. So. You know, that was the end of that. But no, I don't know. Am I ready for the holiday season? I don't fucking know. I guess so.
Yeah, I'm not really.
I haven't bought a single gift yet. I mean,
that's the lands that we've done shows on the 23rd. We've done Christmas shows on the 23rd, and you're like, yeah, I guess I gotta go get some gifts tomorrow. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'll take care of it. It'll all work out. I'm just, I'll go Monday. I think Monday I gotta go. I have a very limited time.
You don't have much more days to go. Yeah.
Well, also, I'm booked pretty solid the next week. I mean, we were just talking about that. I got all kinds of bullshit that I got to do the next few days. So, I mean, I have a sliver of time on Monday. I'll get everything done Monday in like 2 hours. I don't know why people stress about it. It's not that big a deal. You know, you go to the fucking store, bounce around a couple hours. All right, you got to wait in a line. I understand. Now, a lot of times I'll just do everything in an hour on Amazon if I think, but it's too late for that now because nothing's going to come on time.
Delivery time's going to be tough. I mean, maybe you get lucky with all of the items or Prime or whatever, but they're not as quick as they used to be on that because I think so many people are getting shit delivered. So yeah, you gotta.
Well, it's also that 19th already, so it's like I understand, but there have been years where I've thought about it like on the 10th, and then I just all right, let me just sit down, go on Amazon, order everything. It all comes in 3 days, and you're done with it. I don't know. I don't understand why people find it so stressful. I don't.
I don't either.
It's more stressful thinking about what to get people. I have no fucking idea what TLB wants, right? So
you haven't been carefully listening to all of our conversations over the last 2 months to figure out what's that one thing. Is she easy to buy for, or do you don't think so? Would you say you're not easy?
She's not a picky person,
okay,
and she's happy with anything. I just don't know what that anything ever.
You just can't figure out that anything.
It's so what I'll do is
work. I just don't know what the anything is. Yeah.
No, she's not like snobbish about things or anything like that. I mean, she'll take anything. But the thing, so what I'm gonna tell you exactly how this is gonna play out.
Do not buy gift cards. Tell me you're not buying gift cards. Don't be the gift card guy.
Well, she likes gift cards.
Don't be gift card guy though. You can throw a gift card in, but you can throw a gift card in with a gift.
That's what I do. I don't know why you're preemptively attacking me.
You seem like a gift card guy. That's why.
I mean, she wants them. She likes them. She part of the Christmas package every year is a Victoria's Secret gift card. She loves that shit. So she
and you do too, I bet.
Well, I mean, you think, that's the trope, but then what they do is they go in there.
Underwear. Yeah, she just comes home with underwear and a good fitting bra, like a well-fitting with sweatpants and a well-fitting bra.
Yeah. So it never works out that way.
Right. You think she's going to come home with some, unbelievably sexy thing. And it's like, I got sweatpants, and then they measured my boobs, and it turns out I was wearing too small of a bra, and now I have a better fitting bra. You're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Post surgery, she can't get bras there anymore. Or something. I don't know. She was saying something about that. I don't know. I'm half paying attention. But
once you get to a certain level, you got to go to like real deal places. The nurse runs into that problem too. Victoria's Secret doesn't quite have. Yeah. There's
See, basically, we're bragging about our wives' giant tits. If you haven't picked up what we're laying down.
Bragging.
This is what we're
my
doing.
wife. Yeah, she can't go to Victoria's Secret anymore. Those boobs are too big. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Right. It's a burden. We deal with it though.
It's not easy. It's being the husband of a wife with large breasts, but we make it work. We make it work.
Yeah, somehow we exchange tips. It's very difficult, but No, so she'll get that, and then when in doubt, I just go buy an extremely expensive piece of jewelry, and then that makes up for the fact that there's not that many packages to open.
Right, you go with So I usually go quantity over quality. I do a little bit of both. What I do is I buy like one or two quality gifts, and then I just buy like 6 or 7 little things, and then I could probably put them all in one box, but I split them up because she's kind of a sucker for like, I have 10 things or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's like, I got a few things at the same place, but I split them up and make them look a little nicer that way. So,
yeah. See, I would like to get multiple gifts, but I can't think of anything. So I'll just go to the jewelry store and buy something.
Zales or whatever the hell.
Right, exactly. That's the place, and buy something.
Zales, yeah.
Buy some. Yeah, there's one in the mall. I'll go to the mall, go to fucking Zales. Buy something that's way too expensive, and that makes up for the lack of other gift, because then it's just blown away by So I've used that trick a couple of times.
Yeah,
but so the Victoria's Secrets gift card, she'll be expecting that. She's gotten that every year as part of the package, and then the other thing is, see, I don't whether she goes there and buys a bunch of pink sweatpants, the pink brand or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So they're going to buy the sweat. That's okay, because a lot of years and for a lot of birthdays and holidays, and this is where you're going to get all over me. Okay, this is where this goes very Lanza. I'll just straight up buy her the lingerie and the nasty shit and have that. Like, I've given her stuff like that for Christmas before.
No, I get it.
So once the kids are busy, once I put the batteries and everything and send them on their way, I'm like, all right, come here, I got something for you, and then that's where you get the lingerie stuff for the top drawer next to the bed. It's that absolutely has been given as gifts on the day of the Lord's birth. So I have done that as well, also for birthdays. But see, she loves all that shit too. Like, so she's not like put off by that or eye rolling me. She enjoys receiving that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I've bought nothing so far, not a single thing. And I also committed to to handle purchasing certain gifts for the kids, and I haven't done that yet. And she's stressing out about it.
Oh,
she's like, when are you going to go get and I'm like, look, I'm going to take care of it. Don't worry.
Monday.
I don't
2 days to go.
I don't stress about anything. It's gonna get taken care of. Don't worry. She's like, I could have just did it myself. This is why. I'm like, no, I'm gonna handle it. I got it under control.
Well, and the good thing is, like, we're no longer in the days of like the hysteria toys. It's not like you promised her you were going to get him a Tickle Me Elmo or whatever, and you're like, yeah, maybe they'll be the one there 2 days before. Like, basically the entire premise of Jingle All the Way, like that. You're probably just like, there's the things that you probably need to buy for the kids, I imagine, are going to be available no matter when you go. So to your point, I'll just go 2 days before and figure it out then.
They don't listen. They still believe in Santa. They don't know what the fuck's going on.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so we, when they're like, oh, I'd really like, blah, blah for Christmas. And it's not, so we're like, well, we'll see what Santa does. That's up to, so all the heat goes on Santa if they don't get what they want. You see what I'm saying?
That's
like,
true. That's a good little gimmick. Yeah. You got to keep that going as long as you can. You're like, oh man, well, shit.
Because there's always something stupid on the list that there's no shot. Like, the girl put a trampoline on her list.
Oh, fuck
You're not
that.
getting her a fucking trampoline. There's 0% chance. So it's just like, oh, yeah. We'll see. Santa, I don't know if you can fit that in the sleigh. We'll see.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to fit in the sleigh. You don't want the reindeer couldn't bring it over and stuff. Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one, yeah.
Yeah, so, it's...
Dear God, no, do not buy a trampoline. Yeah.
Starting to get some questions, though. Like, hey, how does Santa and his elves, how do they make PS5 games? I don't understand how. It's like questions like that are coming
that's about where it happens. Like, there's one of two ways. You either get like wait a minute, that travel schedule seems quite aggressive. I'm not sure about that. You know what I mean? Where you start to really think about it and go, that's a lot of travel in one day. And that's where I came at it the way that you said. I'm like, now hold on. How did an elf build a Sega Genesis? Like, what? Like, right. What? No, hold on. What's going on here?
Well, TLB's method is always some of the gifts are from mommy and daddy, and that's when you put on the tag, right? So you get slick that way. Holding on by a thread here, because they're getting. They're asking lots of questions. Mm-hmm. Their friends are like, "There's no fucking Santa."
That's what really happens. That's what really happens for sure. I
had to put out one of them fires a couple weeks ago because the girl came home. She's like, "Yeah, my friend Kayla says that." Of course, it's Kayla.
Yeah, of course it's fucking Kayla.
Of course, it's Kayla. Kayla says there is no Santa Claus, and she, you know, and I'm like, well, you know,
Tell
Kayla's full
Kayla
of shit. I was like,
tell Kayla to kick rocks. Yeah.
I was like, do you remember the year? No, I was like, remember the year you got your kitchen? Because when your kids speak,
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that kitchen play set?
Of course.
That might have been a bit on the show. And she's like, yeah. I said, well, think about it. You know that I am terrible and can't do anything and can't put things together or build anything. I'm totally useless. You woke up that morning and that whole kitchen was down there. Yeah, I can't put that together. And she's like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, so see how I was able to sell it? I'm like, I'm totally useless, and you know I can't do it. See, you know Santa must have done it. So you went to bed that night. There was no kitchen down there. You woke up and there was a kitchen. It took me like 7 hours.
Yeah, I remember that was the bit on the show. You started that thing at like 11:30, and you didn't finish until like 5:20, and then rushed to bed to make sure the kids didn't wake up while you're like, yes. Oh, God damn it, motherfucker, what the fuck?
I had to avoid cursing. I had to like get rid of the box and all the extra shit. Like it was so like. Do you remember the? I'll tell you exactly how long it took. Do you remember the Bill Burr cartoon that was on Netflix a couple years ago? It was
yeah. The name escapes me, but I know what you're talking about. Show? Yeah,
the Bill Burr cartoon series that was on Netflix. I think it's done. I think it had two. F is for Family, right?
Okay,
is that the name of it?
That sounds about right. Yeah, go with that.
So this is how you know how long it took me to build that fucking thing. I started that show, a season of that show. When I start and the season ended before I had that fucking kitchen put together.
Yeah, that's not great.
So so I don't know how many episodes.
5 to 6 hours. Yeah, 5 to 6 hours.
At minimum. It's starting the sun's coming up. I'm like, I gotta build this fucking kitchen. So that held her off for a while, and I know she still believes because she's got this this blue volleyball that was like it's all tattered and in shreds, and I threw it in the garbage. And she came home from school and she's like, is that my volleyball? And I was like, yeah, it's all torn up and ripped to shreds. She's like, that came from Santa. And she burst into tears, and she's all sentimental, and she went and got it out of the garbage. And I was like, oh, all right, well, that's a true believer right there.
There it is.
She's still believing for
keep it alive. Yeah,
at least,
keep it alive.
At least another year or two. I thought, watching her, she was all distressed and crying, but I thought it was cute because, she thought I was tossing out this precious gift from Santa Claus.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a good story to tell in a couple years. Once the facade's all over, you can bring that story up again. That'd probably go pretty well.
Yeah, well, I guess they think Santa's up there working hard making Pokemon cards or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. As Jordan Smith points out in our chat room, he says pretty rough for the elves to have to go from wooden trains and dolls made out of straw to trying to figure out how to program Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis. Like, because it's a lot easier to say like, oh, the elves are making your toy when like your gift is like one wooden train. You know what I mean? It's like a wooden, a car with 4 little wooden circles or whatever. It's like, that's your gift for Christmas. That's a little easier to say like, the elves made it. Whereas like, I was like, now hold on. How did the elves make, Madden? How did they make NFL 95 for Sega Genesis? Hold on a sec. Like I don't know. I didn't really pass the test here. I'm not sure.
See, what we got to do is eliminate this deal where it's like the elves making the toys. Let's just
it's hard to believe. Yeah, like you can maybe you could do the Santa things. Santa's still on his sleigh, delivering the toys, but he's got to be like coming from a warehouse or something like that. There's no way we can believe that the elves are sitting here putting this shit together. This stuff's too complicated, too plasticky. It's like drones now and VR headsets and stuff. We can't reasonably believe the elves are doing this. There's no way.
Yeah. They worked out that the Santa that visits them on Christmas Eve at the family party is their grandfather.
Oh, I was gonna ask if that's still going on, and it is not going on.
They worked it out last year.
Okay. Yeah.
They're like, that's Papa. I'm like, no. They're like, yeah, it is. He has a Texas accent. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But listen, don't tell the little kids. Let the 2 and 3 year olds. Yeah.
It's symbolic. Yeah, let it slide. Yeah, the Texas accent. I love that. So.
He guy's thin as a rail too. Like, it's ridiculous.
Guys, well, that's not exactly what I thought Santa looked like. Yeah, it's all this holly jolly, and here's this slender Texas man.
That guy's 6'5", 180. And he says things like, well, right. and then he says things like, well,
Santa's on Ozempic, kids. It's all right, yeah.
And he's like, well, I reckon you're going to get those Switch games tomorrow morning, and it's like, that doesn't sound like Santa.
Why does he sound like Tennessee Lee? Do you only have one Southern accent? It's always the same.
It's one size fits all. That's
Texas, Tennessee, whatever. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all the same to me. But you tell people from Texas they're Southern, they'll get mad.
No. Texas is different than the Southern. Yeah, that's not the American South.
This ain't the South, boy. This ain't the South.
That's Tennessee Lee. Yeah,
it's also TLB's dad. I don't know.
Maybe he does sound like that. Is he from Tennessee? No, he's from Texas. Yeah.
No.
Texas born, Texas bred, and when he die, he'll be Texas dead. That kind of,
Yeah, man. He lives 10 minutes from where he was born, and and we'll live there till the end. Out in the fucking sticks. That's how it is. Watching the Cowboys. So the Christmas party had to get moved around because the Texas Longhorn playoff game coming up Saturday. So everything's all screwed up around here. So I don't know where I'm going to be. After this show, my life descends into chaos.
It is pretty bad. Yeah, we were discussing next week's show, which pending on that, we'll let you know. And I gave you like a call, and you're like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's like, so you have no idea what you're doing over the next 3 days, other than Monday. Maybe you're going to buy gifts, or you have.
I have a sliver in the afternoon on Monday to go get it done. Here's the problem, though: the kids aren't in school and they have to come with me, so I can't actually get those kids gifts.
What are you going to do?
So I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Shouldn't
have waited. Shouldn't have waited the last minute here, bud.
I might have to wake up super early because only other open day I have is...
That's the worst thing. The beginning of that sentence, I didn't believe you the first 3 words of that sentence. I don't believe you.
Yeah,
I'll have to wake up early.
I know. Well, the only other open day I have is Sunday. That's NFL day. So I'm definitely not going for those 7 hours. But if I wake up super early on Sunday, I can maybe. That's gonna have to be my.
Yeah, you got till noon. Come on, you got till noon. You got plenty of time.
Yeah, but I like to take a leisurely shower, and I also like to have leisure time after my shower. I'm very particular about getting ready in the morning. So I'm a.
Do you get your robe on? Do you put a robe on, or what do? You just walk around naked with a towel around you, or what? What's the vibe?
I'm not a 5-minute shower guy. I like to relax in the shower and really take it all in, and get scrubbed down. But when I come out of the shower, I like to lay naked on the bed for a little while, air dry, enjoy what's going on. I like, and it drives my wife nuts because if we ever have to go somewhere, she has to make sure I'm in the shower like 3 hours before we need to leave because I have my process. I can't just towel off and immediately get dressed. I like a little relaxation after a shower.
It turns out I'm married to you. This is what the nurse does too. She does the naked in the bed. She dries off in our sheets. And I'm like, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy that.
Sometimes she'll put the robe on and then go in the bed, but sometimes it's just naked in the bed to dry off. And that's like a 35 to 40 minute process for sure.
Yes, that's me. Yes.
I think we have to go. It's like, all right, well, I'm drying off. That's what I hear all the time. I'm drying off. I'm like, you have to be dry by now. You know how you can dry off? You can put a towel and you can go, I can dry off in 4 seconds. Why are you still not dry? You have to be dry by now. There's no way. You're sitting in the bed, scrolling on your phone for 35 minutes. I'm sure you're dry.
You just don't get it.
I wish I could live that life of leisure. I'm too anxious to live that life of leisure.
No. You're anxious?
Hard to believe.
You don't say. I've never pegged you for anxious. I'm never anxious. I don't worry about nothing. So yeah, that's the thing. Maybe that's how I'm similar to the nurse. She probably don't worry about nothing either.
Nah, depends. It's either nothing or everything. Does that make sense? It's either like I don't worry about anything, or now I'm worried about everything, or one big thing I'm worried about, but everything else I don't care. It's you pick and choose.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's our catch up on the holidays discussion. But let's get into some wrestling here. We got a lot of wrestling to get into this week. We have, among other things, we are going to preview ROH's Final Battle 2024 coming up this Saturday. Friday, not Saturday. Friday, ROH Final Battle 2024. Saturday is Collision and a bunch of other stuff as well. So ROH Final Battle this Friday. We'll review Dragongate segment here. We'll review Dragongate's Final Gate as well as the Stalker Ichikawa. And I know he's not technically Stalker Ichikawa, but I'm still going to call him Stalker Ichikawa because that's how I remember him. But we'll talk about Ishikawa's retirement from the world of professional wrestling. I had a match with Hiroshi Tanahashi and then a big send-off moment as well. So I'll touch on that. New Japan Strong Style Evolved from Long Beach, one of the better New Japan Strong shows I've seen in a very long time. I'm very encouraged by that show after being very down on New Japan Strong for a lot of this year. Really, really enjoyed that show, so excited to touch on that one. And then some other topics as well, including AEW. We'll check in on the Continental Classic, what the standings look like right now as we head into the big Hammerstein weekend, as well as what's coming ahead in the Hammerstein. And then some WWE topics as well, where we have the Saturday Night's Main Event rating and a little bit of Legentil Activity going in and around that rating. We'll touch on that, as well as the Lee Fitting news, where the Athletic report about why he was let go from ESPN, and a few other things about that. Maybe people don't even know who Lee Fitting is, so maybe we'll introduce you to who Lee Fitting is and a bit more. And there's also and maybe let's do this quickly. The BJ Whitmer's wife. I should get her name before I call her. I shouldn't call her BJ Whitmer's wife.
No, it's not her wife. It's not her wife. It's you're talking about Jamie Hawn.
Jamie Hawn, yeah, that's right. Ex-girlfriend.
And the GoFundMe. Ex-girlfriend, and she got the GoFundMe up. This is now, she's a mother of 3. These are not BJ Whitmer's children, I don't believe. They were in a relationship, and this was the woman who BJ Whitmer attacked and got arrested.
Correct.
And when he got fired from AEW. So we all kind of thought that story, at least as it pertains to the wrestling part of it, was over. But Miss Hawn here, Jamie Hawn, she put up this GoFundMe a couple of days ago with some pretty strong allegations, I guess you can call them, mostly pointed at Chris Peck, which is the head of AEW Legal, who took over for Mega Parikh. Is it Parikh or Parekh? I never know how to pronounce it.
I never knew. I've heard both ways. I always said Parikh, but I've heard other people say Parekh, but I've always said Parikh.
Well, everybody calls her Mega, so let's just go with Mega for the purposes of this conversation in case I'm mispronouncing her last name. But, Peck took over for Mega at one point, and, Peck has been in the news previously because he had, again, very similar when Ryan Nemeth, when that story came out a few weeks ago, which is such a confusing story that I don't even quite understand what happened, which is why we never really talked about it. The report on that story was very confusing to me, and because I still have no understanding of what
I have
Nemeth's,
read that one 6 times, and I'm not sure how to interpret it. Yeah, I don't get it either.
We kind of just laid low on it, because how can I have an opinion on something when I can't even properly describe what happened? I still don't know what happened, or whether he's suing someone, or what his beef is. That story was very confusing to me, so I just stayed out of it. But he had levied some very similar complaints about this Chris Peck, this guy that is AEW's legal counsel who took over for Mega. So Chris Peck is in the news again, and once again, it's a story that doesn't reflect well on him. I've seen a lot of confusion and sort of misinterpretations of this story, and let me go through it, because I'm not even sure you have a full grasp of what's going on here. But between Hawn's GoFundMe, which was an extensive write-up of her side of the story, and then combining that with some of the legal documents that were available online, I saw them on BJ Bethel's Twitter account. So if anyone wants to see, BJ Bethel on March 5th posted a summary of the court proceedings in the case. This was March 5th, 2024, the incident. Whitmer was arrested in 2023, but the legal documents were posted by Bethel in March 5th, 2024. So combining her write-up and her side of the story with the court documents, I think I have a pretty good feel of what was going on here. So Whitmer, now they were no longer a couple, and Whitmer broke into her house and attacked her, and he was arrested for that. There's pictures of her with bruising on her neck. He allegedly choked her, and very nasty story. Not good at all. So he gets arrested. Now, she was the one, Jamie Hawn, who informed AEW that Whitmer was arrested. He didn't tell anybody. So she called the company. She got in touch with Mega and let them know that he had been arrested and what he was arrested for. At that point, on the day of his arraignment, they fired him. So they didn't waste any time. As soon as he was arraigned, he was let go. That's when the story initially broke, and we all found out that he was no longer with the company and why. From that point, Mega Parikh, Jamie Haun is very complimentary of her and talks about her just so glowingly in this write-up about the lengths that Mega went to help her in the aftermath of all of this. Okay. The incident was on June 4th, 2023, when he broke into the home and then strangled her. Gets arrested. Haun lets the company know. They fire her the date of his arraignment, which was, I don't know the date on that, but as soon as he was arraigned, they fired him. And then Mega made the following, I don't know if you want to call them offers, commitments, promises to Jamie Haun. Therapy resources, a home security system for her and her children, a security detail for when she would go to the court hearing so she could feel a little safer going to court, because obviously, you know, if he'd be out on bail or whatever. So she offered up a security detail, job interviewing resources, which leads me to believe, it doesn't say this in the write-up, that maybe Whitmer was the one paying the bills until they broke up and now she needed a job. I assume that's what that means, because it said she was offered professional guidance and mentorship for job interviews. And also Mega offered up, they had discussed some sort of outreach program, some kind of partnership where in conjunction with AEW, they would set something up to raise awareness on domestic violence and those sorts of things and try to prevent, you know, these sorts of incidents from happening again. So these were all sort of the things that the company offered. In addition to money, okay, she did receive $20,000 from the company. This is all in the court filings. She received $20,000 from the company to, and again, this is why I'm assuming, in conjunction with the idea that they were going to help her with job interview training and things like that, that Whitmer was carrying the load when they were together in terms of paying the bills and whatnot. Because AEW also gave her $20,000. So AEW, Mega really went above and beyond. And Haun says that throughout all of this. She doesn't have a negative word in Mega's direction. Her issues all come when Chris Peck takes over. So Peck takes over AEW legal when Mega, I think she moved back to the Jaguars side.
Yeah,
of
I think
things.
she was doing both for a while, I think, and I think finally, I want to say, and I don't know exactly, I want to say she got at least some sort of promotion and focused a little bit more heavily on the Jaguars. So she never left the Jaguars. I think she was doing a little bit of both for a while, and then when they got Chris Peck, she said, okay, you know, I'm going to go back and to my job in the Jaguars. And I think she's a senior vice president as well of the Jaguars, so I think she wanted to focus more on that and let Chris Peck take over, you know, for AEW's council.
Yeah, there's never been clarity on why she was moved away from AEW and moved back to the Jaguars, but we do know that that was the case, and Chris Peck did take over. So anyway, this was in, I'm just looking at the GoFundMe, because at this point, now she's homeless and she's got 3 kids. This is why she has a GoFundMe. I don't know if I said that at the top.
Right.
So she's got a $10,000 goal. Her car broke down. They were living in her car and the car broke down. They don't even have the car anymore. So this is a homeless mother of 3 that has nowhere else to turn. And anyway, in September of 2023, that's when she was contacted by Peck, and he let her know that Mega is no longer involved. And basically Peck said, I got some information from her, but I need to play catch up, and you need to let me know what's going on. And this is where Haun was first a little put off by Peck, because she knows for a fact that he was handed off all of the pertinent information from Mega at the time of the transfer of jobs. And in her view, it was traumatic and insulting to make her go over all the details of what occurred with Whitmer. And also he wanted her to re-provide all of the paperwork and court documents and everything. And, you know, that was her first sort of issue that she had with Peck when he took over. She did recontact Mega and said that she expressed surprise and was shocked that it was handled that way. And she just constantly got weird vibes from Peck. So she goes back and she's now dealing with Peck, and she asked him about additional financial support for what she says was payment help with the rent. Now remember, they had already given her $20,000 at this point, which is noted in the court filings. And she said Peck was very short with her and essentially rude, and asked her what he needed to do to, quote, make this go away, this in quotes, as a final amount so we can just wipe our hands of this and go our separate ways. Han was very put off by this because it was a completely different tone that Mega had taken with her. And at that point, too, she realized that all these other things that were offered up originally by Mega were now off the table with Peck. Peck basically, here's what it comes down to. He wanted to cut a check and just wipe.
Right. How much money do you need for me to stop having to have these emails and these conversations and to move on and close the book on whatever this is? What do you need me to sign what check to get this all done?
Which she found to be very cold and the very, very much the opposite of how Mega had been handling it. So, and now remember, AEW, let's be fair here. They don't have to do anything for this woman. Let's be honest. They don't have to give her, I mean, she wasn't employed by them. BJ Whitmer was. She wasn't married to BJ Whitmer. They were in a relationship. So anything AEW is doing, anything that Mega Parikh offered was very gracious and you could, the right thing to do in that situation if you're willing to do it. But then Peck takes over, and I get the sense that Peck is a lawyer who just wants to do some lawyering, and very cold, very blunt, very, all right, look, what do I have to do to satisfy you? And so both of our sides here can just part ways. And that's, that is a pretty cold way to handle a situation, particularly when it had been handled in a very different manner prior to him taking over the position. So that's where Han was very put off. Then she said that there was outside legal counsel that came into all of the following conversations. It wasn't just Peck anymore. And at that point, the tone, she said, completely changed. And if she wanted if she wanted additional financial support, Peck said that she would have to sign an NDA and they would give her the money. And she didn't understand why she needed to sign an NDA. I'm not quite so sure either, because again, AEW really was under no obligation to help her at all. They don't look bad by helping her, right? So why would they want that under wraps? The only thing that I could come up with is AEW didn't want to put themselves in a position where maybe some other unscrupulous, bad faith actors could see them as sort of like a money funnel. Like they don't want every aggrieved person who happens to be related to or have a relation with one of their talents coming to them, seeing them as some kind of, free place, a place to get a free, loan that you don't have to pay back. You know what I mean? So maybe they wanted to keep it under, maybe they wanted to help this woman, but also keep it under wraps so people don't think that they're just a cash spigot. That's the only thing I can come up with. Yeah. Why else would you want an NDA? Because you don't look bad for giving her money. You look good for giving her money.
No, that is the very weird aspect of this that I don't quite understand that aspect. Everything else I do understand. I understand that Mega's like probably a little bit more, more caring, and people have said that. People have, everybody who's worked with her has said the same thing. And this Peck guy is probably just, like you said, just kind of a lawyer who just is looking down the list of things he has to do, and he's got this thing, and he's like, all right, what can we do to get this thing off my plate and go work on other things that I want to do? I want to get rid of this thing, so what do I have to do to appease you and move on or whatever? Whereas, Mega was maybe a little bit more caring and more understanding, obviously as a woman too, probably a little bit more, understanding of the situation that this woman's in, whereas Peck is just like, all right, yeah, what do you need?
More compassionate.
Yeah, you need $30,000? All right, here you go, $30,000, you're good. So leave us alone, like kind of thing. A little bit more compassion coming out of Mega, but that's what the NDA is the part where I don't. That's strange. That's weird for sure.
Well, then this is where things get all messed up. So She signs the NDA, which means she gets the additional, what we now know was, she got $40,000 total. Okay. So $20,000 initially, and then $20,000 as part of this second payment, which they wanted her to sign an NDA in order to receive the money. And she claims that she had all kinds of agreements with the NDA where it would remain confidential. So here's where the problem comes in. If you look at the court filings, okay, the prosecutors in Kentucky, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, they backed off in taking this to try, in even considering taking this to trial due to additional discovery. And let me explain what happened here. Here's a direct quote from the court filings. During the presidency, during the pendency of this case, the Commonwealth was provided with significant amount of reciprocal discovery. Due to this discovery and other events, the Commonwealth was required to reevaluate its position. End quote. Here's what happened. So the prosecution found out that she got the $20,000 from AEW. Now they're required to, and this is all in the documents, people can read this on their own. I'm giving a quick summary. They're required, obviously, to share that information with the defense. So Hahn tells the prosecution, yeah, I got the $20,000. The prosecution shares that with the defense. The defense comes back with, what are you talking about? She got $40,000 because we got that information straight from AEW. Yeah. So the defense contacted Peck, and now listen, I'm not a lawyer, and I certainly don't practice law in Kentucky. This is where we would need someone who is privy to both of these things, someone who practices law and someone who specifically practices law in Kentucky. Hahn seems to think that Peck screwed her by informing the defense attorneys, Whitmer's defense attorneys, that she received an additional $20,000. She reported to the prosecution that she only received 20 because she thought the NDA protected that other $20,000. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the gist of this. But Peck, on behalf of AEW, when asked by the defense, let them know. Now their defense was, look, we had to give an itemized description of any financial compensation that we gave her. Okay. And if that's the law, that's the law. I don't know if that's the law because, again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't know anything about Kentucky law. So that is where we run into a messy scenario, because then the prosecution decided, all right, this is too messy. We don't think we could win a jury now because A, she received 2 different payments for $20,000 and has received $40,000 from this company. So we're going to have to clear that hurdle of convincing a jury that she's just not out to get money out of this, right? That's hurdle number 1. Hurdle number 2 is that her credibility takes a little bit of a hit because she downplayed how much money she got, because she only reported the $20,000 when it was in fact $40,000 that she got.
Okay.
So the prosecution got spooked and said, you know what? We're going to take the plea because we don't think we can win in court because we've got these giant hurdles to overcome to the jury now. So that's when, that's the statement I read you before, where basically it says the Commonwealth was provided with significant amount of reciprocal discovery. That's all this payment information. Due to this discovery and other events, the Commonwealth was required to reevaluate its position. In other words, the prosecutors decided, we're not going to try to prosecute this guy. We think it's iffy whether we can beat him in court now. So we're going to take what we can get. We're going to take what we can get, and we're going to take the Alford plea. So what Whitmer did is he took the Alford plea, which means he maintains his innocence officially, but acknowledges that there's enough evidence that he could face a possible conviction in a trial. And then the felony is expunged from his record in 5 years. So he got 120 days of house arrest, and he got in 5 years, it's a felony, but in 5 years, the felony is expunged. And basically, essentially a slap on the wrist is what it all comes down to. But the prosecution felt like their hands were tied because this new information that they were blindsided with from the defense. and they figured, and this is my speculation now, just based on the wording there, they figured, you know what, we may as well just take the plea and get this guy on something rather than going to trial, and maybe he just gets off scot-free.
Right.
So that is what Hahn is upset about. And I can understand, I think anyone can understand why she would be upset, because this guy never had to face a jury, and he basically only had to do a few months house arrest, and he's not even going to have a felony on his record, based on how this Alford plea works, at least the limited information that I have on it. What I'm not entirely clear on is how she feels, or whether she feels AEW or Chris Peck are responsible for why she's now homeless and doesn't have any money. Now, she does mention something about a civil trial in the write-up, so it could be she could be overwhelmed with obviously in the criminal trial, she's not paying for a lawyer. That's the state against BJ Whitmer, right? But she does mention that there is a civil she mentions briefly in her write-up that there is a civil trial ongoing, so she's suing somebody, presumably Whitmer. Maybe she'll go after AEW, maybe she'll go after Peck, maybe she'll go after everybody, I don't know. And maybe that's she doesn't really explain why she's in the precarious situation that she's in, but the bottom line is she's in it. She's got 3 kids, she's homeless, she doesn't have a vehicle, and she's got the GoFundMe up, which is up to $6,600. Miro plopped down $500. That's the only name I recognize on the list.
Yeah, there's an anonymous $5,000 or a couple $1,000 I saw a little bit earlier too. So yeah, an anonymous $5,000 donation, which certainly helps things a lot. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so I mean, she's got some, it's all there for people to read, but some very strong wording towards not only Peck but AEW as well. And again, maybe, I'm sure not every single detail of her story is in this, even though it's extremely long and detailed. I don't know. So the bottom line is she's in the situation she's in, she's looking for help, and why it's newsworthy and why places like this show are talking about it is because obviously she names Chris Peck directly, and he was just in the news for this Ryan Nemeth thing as well. Yeah. So my impression is, he just and again, she has nothing but praise for Mega Parikh and how she was handling it. It seems like all of her problems with the company began when Chris Peck took over. And it's like you said, I agree with you. He just comes across to me as just a lawyer wanting to do lawyering, just cold, like he didn't want to be bothered with this. Like, look, what did she promise you? Can we just, how much to make this all, to get this off of my desk, to make you happy?
Right. I want this file off my desk. What do I have to pay to get this file off my desk so I can move on to these other files that I have to deal with or whatever?
Right, which is essentially how Hahn worded it in her GoFundMe. So just more bad PR for the company, no matter what you think of this, no matter what you think. I mean, in a situation where, it's funny because they were going above and beyond in handling this. Again, they weren't obligated to really do anything for this woman. But Mega had, security details and putting a security system on the house and resources to help her find a job and $40,000. And Hahn's not disputing that. She was grateful for all of that and very grateful for Parikh and all of the help that she was giving her. But she has massive issues with the way Chris Peck handled it. And she's obviously very annoyed that she feels like she got bamboozled in a way, because I think she feels like she didn't have to disclose that second $20,000 payment because she felt the NDA protected that.
Right.
And so that's where the from a legal standpoint, a dispute comes in here. I don't know Kentucky law, and maybe Kentucky law does require that AEW had to itemize all that stuff for when the defense lawyers asked. I mean, that's entirely possible. Did Chris Peck act on his own because he had an axe to grind with this woman and just offered up the information to the defense? I mean, I don't know. Or was he legally obligated to say, okay, yeah, these are all the things we did for her? And then she ended up looking bad because it looked like she was either withholding or downplaying how much money she received. And then that spooked the prosecution. and they didn't go after Whitmer as hard as they could have went after him, or as hard as they planned on going after him.
Right.
Because that spooked them.
Yeah, and instead just took the plea. They're
like, fuck it. We'll just get him on whatever we can get him for, because the last thing these prosecutors want to do is waste time, money, and resources on a trial they don't think they can win. So at that point, that's when plea agreements and everything come into play, and then it becomes a negotiation. And they just felt like the case was going to be too hard. And, I could see where they're coming from. A jury is going to see the victim here getting all this help from the company. They get $20,000. She comes back and asks for more, and they give it to her. I could see where they think it only takes one juror, Rich, right? To think, all right, well, this person's just trying to exploit this for money. And then on top of that, in convincing a jury that she wasn't being dishonest by not disclosing the whole $40,000, that it was confusion based on the fact that the second payment came in the form of an NDA. So it just became a whole mess. So anyway, if people saw that story floating around, if you've seen the Chris Peck name back in the news, that's the gist of it. I think I had a pretty good feel for it. Do you understand it a little better now? And
a little bit, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, because that's another one that I've tried to read. It's not as confusing as the Nemeth one. The Nemeth one I've read like 7 times, and I just don't understand what exactly he's upset about. Yeah, I don't want to get into that one, because that one, whatever. And that one did not really seem to gain that much steam. It seemed like it was, in the moment when it came out, everybody was like, "Oh my God, look at this!" And then as more and more people read it, I think everybody else was like, "I don't quite understand what exactly the issue is here." So that one, I don't really feel like going through any of that. But yeah, it thanks for adding some clarity to that situation for sure. So we'll see if anything new gets added to that. And hey, while we're talking about legal issues, why don't we just go right into Lee Fitting here? So this week, a report from The Athletic stated that WWE's head of media and production, Lee Fitting, was unceremoniously let go from ESPN in 2023 following a misconduct investigation. The report detailed a long history of Fitting allegedly making offensive remarks towards female coworkers, asking for hotel room keys, making comments about women's attire and appearance, plus an overall environment of a boys club that Fitting led on the ESPN production side. So we'll have some. Janel Grant's spokesperson had a quote, so we'll read that here in a minute. But first off, the thing about from The Athletic about Lee Fitting. I don't know if you had any sort of reaction to that, and I know that I should note that WWE has not yet commented on that report, and I don't know if Fitting has any representative that has commented on that either. As far as I know, they're all no comment so far.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've seen a lot of people saying, well, he hasn't been accused of doing anything for WWE. And it's like, well, I mean, we're just, this is a company that's currently being sued for gestures broadly. The ring boy thing, obviously Janel Grant and her lawyers had something to say, which we'll read to you guys in a second when this broke. It's probably not a good idea to hire somebody whose issues were well known throughout the industry. If you read this story on Fitting, this is not an example of a guy who had one incident or one accusation or something that, sounds low, or maybe this is not someone who hit on someone at work and was overly persistent about it one time and maybe made a mistake. No, this guy has a long history of repeating this kind of, as is described in the article, frat boy behavior that was well known throughout the industry. There is not a chance that Nick Khan was not aware of this. There is not a chance, when they hired this guy. But what happens here is they don't care. TKO doesn't care. Nick Khan hired Jamie Horowitz, who had a similar pattern of issues and accusations at
the
one
same
time.
Company.
He's no longer
at the same company, by the way.
Same company. He's no longer with WWE, but they hired him, and his stuff was all public, so they can't hide behind the idea that they didn't know on that one. Everyone knew about Jamie Horowitz at the time that they hired him. Someone has plugged in and powerful as Nick Khan. There's no fucking way he had never heard any of this about Fitting, not with the way it's laid out in the story, to where it was so well known that people would warn each other about him. Like, oh, you're going to be working with Lee Fitting. All right, well, be prepared for this. You know what I mean? It's like, this guy had a reputation within the industry. And here's the thing, even if this, I'm not entirely positive that even if this story had broke before they hired him, that they wouldn't have hired him anyway. They just don't care.
They don't care. Why would they care? TKO has not cared. WWE has not cared. UFC has not cared. None of these. I mean, Dana White was on video slapping his wife 2 years ago, and they just went, oh, all right, well, and moved on. You know what I mean? That was a story for a couple weeks, and they went, oh, wow, shit. All right, yeah, move on. Hey, Power Slap coming up. Yeah, a Power Slap. We're gonna promote a show called Power Slap immediately after that. They just and then
well, not only that, but Dana White is going to be at the forefront of promoting. Yes. They didn't even remove Dana White from promoting.
Dana White is going to be the main face of Power Slap of Power weeks Slap. After slapping his wife on video.
They don't give a shit.
And why should they? Well, why should
nobody
they give a
holds
shit?
them accountable?
It never matters. It never matters. So why should they give a shit?
The fans don't hold them accountable. Nobody the media doesn't hold them accountable. Nobody holds them accountable. So it really doesn't matter. And this story is just going to go away, and people are going to freak. Now, for people who don't know who Lee Fitting is, he essentially replaced Kevin Dunn.
Correct.
Same job, right?
Yeah, he's the head of media and production, and you should know. We mentioned his name. We've mentioned his name a couple times on this show, but more prominently, and you didn't even notice that they've started doing this too. At the end of most WWE shows now, when they fade to black, they will put executive producers, Lee Fitting, Paul Levesque, and then that's it. We laughed about it on our Saturday Night's Main Event instant reaction that's all they showed you was Lee Fitting and Paul Levesque, and then faded out to black and said, that's it. I'm sure there were other people that did stuff, but who cares about all those? The two executive producers were Lee Fitting and Paul Levesque. But yeah, he essentially replaced Kevin Dunn and has a huge influence on the way the show looks and feels and all that sort of stuff. He's the head of media and production for that company. So it's a huge role and a huge job.
Yeah. And now his name is at the end of every WWE show, just as this story comes out. But again, I don't even know if they'll remove it. They don't care. None of this phases them or bothers them in any way because nobody holds them accountable. You would think that it would be a massive story that a company being sued currently by two different people, by two different entities, I should say, because the Ring Boy thing is a collective, and then there's the whole Janel Grant thing, would be more careful about hiring someone with this history. And then if they want to plead the fifth on knowing of being privy to what his history was, you would think that being under fire with these lawsuits that they would immediately dismiss the person. But that's not the case either. Which tells you that they're probably just going to keep the guy around and ignore this. And what damage will come from that? None.
Yeah, they will lose no advertisers and they will lose no fans.
They're Teflon when it comes to this stuff. I don't understand why. It's probably because people see mixed martial arts and pro wrestling as sleazy, low-level businesses. And because of that, they kind of get to exist, in a place where, we almost expect that from those businesses. Who cares? Right? So you have this guy, Lee Fitting, where if you read the story, was in a position of power over, female on-air talent and not just on-air talent. And, basically, to be a bit uncouth and for lack of a better term, was just trying to fuck everybody. And, aside, on top of, frat boy comments in the workplace and all these sorts of
things. Which
is
common in ESPN as well. He probably fit in very perfectly to ESPN because if you've ever read anything about ESPN, those guys have all the fun. Or what was the name of that book? I forget. I think that's what it was, or something to that effect. The James Andrew Miller, I believe, was the author of that book. It's oral history of the history of ESPN. It's very prevalent. That's what the culture was at that place, is that, for obviously very prominently in the 90s and some of the early 2000s. Now, you would have hoped that, in the modern day, in the last, 10, 15 years, that would have changed, particularly so in the last 5 to 6 years, that was drastically changed the culture there in ESPN. But, according to this, not really, or just enough to say, hey, this guy's got to go. Maybe enough to say, okay.
Well, to be fair, it was the change in. Well, that's it. That's just it. There was a change in management, and the new management got rid of him.
Right. and said, okay, this guy's got to go. Unceremoniously was the word used in the in the document as well. Because he was, the headline says, he was ESPN's golden boy, and then he was unceremoniously let go. So he was a guy that they knew had a ton of talent, and they really had developed him for years and years and years as being a high-level production guy. He did College Game Day and some of the high-level ESPN productions. And it was an interesting thing when he did what was let go and then was hired by WWE. That was seen as, whoa, that's a pretty big coup for Nick Khan and his crew to bring this guy in. And now that makes a little more sense why he would leave that job to come to do work in WWE. Obviously, now it makes, a way more sense because, ESPN said, enough of you. You're gone. Go away. Get out of here. But he found a nice landing spot. So.
Yeah, and a company where, again, it's part of the culture, obviously, and has been woven into their culture for decades. So he found himself a nice, cushy landing spot. And again, it doesn't fly. The idea that, they maybe they didn't know. Well, now they do. Now what? Right? You're being sued.
You think Paul will read this report? Once he gets done with the lawsuit, once he gets done with the Janel Grant lawsuit, maybe he'll be able to read this thing on The Athletic. He doesn't have a sub, though. He doesn't have a subscription to The Athletic, so he probably won't be able to get to it. So,
yeah. So, I mean, nothing will be done. I mean, I don't think they'll do anything.
No, of course not.
But and it's a really bad look because you have that statement from Janel Grant's.
I do.
Is it the
yes.
Janel Grant?
This is the spokesperson. So there's obviously Ann Callis is Janel Grant's lawyer, and then Kendra Barkoff-Lammy was the spokesperson that they hired, and she had some PR background or whatever. So mostly that we want to get the word out about this lawsuit and let it not, so that people like us and other places talk about this lawsuit as much as possible. Quote, and this is from the spokesperson for Janel Grant, says, quote, "How can WWE claim they are committed to improving the company's culture and at the same time hire a man earlier this year who was accused of sexual misconduct and workplace harassment in his previous role? The allegations against Lee Fitting during his time at ESPN are extremely concerning. Revelations like this are why Janel Grant's lawyers sent a letter to WWE and Endeavor urging them to release all current and former employees from their NDAs. The same old boys club who enabled Janel Grant's abuse are continuing to put alleged predators in leadership roles, and this pattern must change once and for all."
So, I mean, I do think this could hurt them if this were ever to go to a trial, as, just more circumstantial evidence that there's a culture there where people like this are welcomed into the company still to this day, even a post Vince McMahon world. Is that so from that? But look, they're so brazen that they don't give a shit. They just don't care. So, look, this will be forgotten. It won't even be swept under a rug. They just will ignore it. And they have ignored it to this point, right? I mean, there's been no...
as far as I know, as of right now, as of doing the show here at 9 p.m. on December 19th, no comment from WWE so far about it.
And he's getting massive praise inside the company for his work. It's not someone that they're going to want to get rid of from that standpoint. Kevin Dunn, they were just counting down the hours to get rid of that guy. He was a Vince guy, and it was just a matter of replacing him. And, eventually, I think Dunn may have left, quote unquote, on his own. Right. But, who knows if the writing was on the wall. Now there's rumors that Dunn is working closely with McMahon on whatever projects McMahon is cooking.
That new thing. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. That new thing he was doing, the new entertainment company or whatever that he was doing. So
there was a wild rumor that it might be porn.
I saw that. Yeah. That would be, I
don't know if that's substantiated. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know if that was, but that would be too on the nose. But then again, I put nothing past those people. I put nothing past Vince McMahon to be so brazen about it to then, develop a porn company. But I don't know, there was enough people, like a few of the other names that were rumored to be involved in it. They didn't seem, I don't think they would attach themselves to a porn company. I know Vince probably would. I don't think he can. I bet Dunn probably would, but there was a couple other people. I think there was that other woman that used to work in WWE, and I'd be surprised, if she would put her name on that. But who the hell knows? Who the fuck knows? And like you said,
I don't know where that
it doesn't fucking
from.
matter. It never matters. It never matters. This company is in an ongoing lawsuit right now, and Paul Levesque will stand up in front of the media and say, "I didn't read it," and then that's it. And then that's the only question he gets, and then everybody moves on. And that was months ago. We're referencing a press conference that happened a year ago. That was at the Royal Rumble last year, I think. That was the only time I think he's ever been addressed about it, and he said, "No, I didn't get a chance to read it," and then moved on, and that was it. That was it.
Those things have become even more of a farce because now there's really not any real. Now there's just no real reporters in there. I mean, a lot of them don't bother going. And then, as we've seen with John Pollock a couple of times, as we've seen with Mike Johnson, there's times where you do go and you don't get invited into the actual press conference part of the event. So it's become a situation where it's just there's less and less of a presence of any kind of real media. No one's going to stand up in that room. There's no prayer at this point of anyone standing up in that room and saying, yeah, Paul, have you read it yet? That'd be a great question, right? Like a year later or whatever.
Yeah. So, Paul, last January, you said you did not have time to read the lawsuit. I would assume at this point you've been briefed on it or have some more further details that you can, give us or whatever. You would hope that would be the case. But, it's not just he's on, like, he does public things. He did this fucking Netflix press conference thing the other day, and it just it's never going to matter. He was on the Pat McAfee show a little bit ago. It's like it's not like he's.
Well, I mean, come on.
No, I know, but I'm like, he's not hiding. Like, it's one thing if he only was ever made available at the post-show press conferences, and they made sure it was tailored amount of people. There was only a certain type of people that were in there, because we know that's true. But the guy isn't exactly hiding from the media elsewhere. He is very public facing and is very but none of those people, maybe to the same extent, he's also very guarded about who. He allows to interview him or who he allows to show up to events or whatever. But yeah, so to the idea that, like, oh man, they're going to do, why would they? They're not going to do anything. Why would they do anything?
Yeah, it used to be you'd be lucky to get a Brandon Thurston or a Pollock or somebody who was serious in the room in between all of the dopey content creators.
Yeah, and the Macho Man cosplayer. It's
right, but
there's TikTokers, Brandon Thurston, and then the Macho Man cosplayer guy. Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, but I mean, at the last pay-per-view, someone had let me know that one of the 3 or 4 people that got to ask a question was also one of the new Fast National guys. So, yeah. So, I mean, forget it. It's now it's just totally people who are just going to ask kayfabe questions and want to be part of the show and just ask super softballs and when are you coming back to insert town here?
I remember that was the one that got aggregated a lot last time. Was someone asked Paul Levesque, when are you going to come back to Vancouver and will you run a bigger building because this one was so successful? It's like, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, that's
Paul, you have the momentum of a runaway train. Will you come back to Vancouver, and when you come back, can you run a giant football stadium instead of an arena? And he went, oh yeah,
No, hey, look, Tonys aren't much better these days.
No, they all stink. Here's
we
had a chance. God damn it, we had a chance to make these things important and matter and ask these people real questions. We all fucked it up, and now it's ruined and it's over.
Well, we lost. I mean, we tried harder than anyone to point this stuff out to the point, fans got mad at us, people in the media got mad at us. We don't give a shit. But, we were banging this drum for how long? And it was a losing battle all along. And WWE was going to win because they were just going to stop letting people in the room if they had to. And if you let your one token real reporter ask a question, you'll just, you just have your one question to dodge, and, it's not very difficult to do so. And that's that. So, these things have become totally useless. Tony Khan has just, figured out he just doesn't answer anything anymore anyway.
Yeah, he
says nothing of value, and he doesn't say anything of value now anyway. So you still have you have more real, quote unquote real by wrestling standards, people who are willing to ask something decent. You have a few more that go to the AEWs, but again, he doesn't answer anything anyway. So it's a waste of time, so that's why, look, so it's another, I'm used to being on the losing team. It's okay. But it's, we were right about this. And I had a feeling this is the direction it would go. We threw away collectively a massive opportunity to really take a crack at these people in power and wrestling for the year or two, or the couple of years in AEW's case that we had a chance to do it. And it all got pissed away. So for a number of different reasons. And the most discouraging and disappointing thing is the number of wrestling media people who disagreed with us and fought and pushed back against it and said it's not the time and place for those kind of those are the most pathetic of all.
We're part of the show. It's part of the show. No, it's not part of the show. Unless you're being paid You're not part of the show.
But a lot of the fans who push back on us, they're fans and they're dumb and who cares? And people.
Yeah, their opinions. I don't really care that much.
The other media people who would push back on this idea, not just from us, but from anyone who would express it, they're the most disappointing of all. I mean, they're just pathetic, and but a lot of them aren't making any money. And, they're just these dopey content creators who are trying to get their Elon pennies or their pennies from YouTube. And, they punch the clock at their day job and they'll probably won't even be involved in this in 5 or 10 years or when WWE cools off. And unfortunately, there are a lot of the ones who helped sabotage this opportunity, which with or without that, it wouldn't look. If people like Tony Khan and Paul Levesque were going to get pressed hard like they should have been from the start at these things, they would simply stop doing them. So it's not as if, but at least we would have won from that standpoint, right? If that's the way it played out, I feel like if real reporters were constantly in that room pressing these guys, they'd put wrestlers up there, they'd put PR people up there, they would just stop participating. But they didn't even have to go that far because it just petered out before it even came to that. Because in Levesque's case, he never gets asked anything. And in Tony's case, he just dodges everything. He doesn't answer anything.
He just filibusters.
And he can get away with it.
He just filibusters for 20 minutes, and then you don't even remember what your question was. And
why should he answer if he doesn't have to?
Right.
And then because the next person doesn't follow up, they're not real press conferences from that standpoint. So.
Well, and once they started doing too, it was like, they started doing kayfabe stuff in there, which was a problem. And then there was the one time where, remember, he didn't do the conference because it was after Danielson lost or something like that. And he didn't do the conference because he was selling that he was sad that, it was during the bag. Yeah. When Moxley did the bag angle or whatever, he was sad that, Moxley did the bag angle. So, and it was like, okay, now we know that this is just, we're done here. You know what I mean? We're done. This is over, so.
And I mean, putting wrestlers up there and some of them doing it in kayfabe, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I understand the nature of pro wrestling and there's the muddled lines, but as a media person, you don't have to participate in that. No one's making you ask kayfabe questions. You know what I mean? It's like, keep your hand down. It's who was it? Mariah May. She only got asked. Was it Mariah May who only got asked one question? She was in character and they only asked one question and she threw a little hissy fit. And it's like, because it's not interesting. No one's interested in your stupid kayfabe shit. So hit the bricks.
Yeah.
So hit the bricks. It's like, that's how it should be handled every time someone's in kayfabe. Just ignore them. Like, don't ask anything. But you get goofballs in there who will be like, how does it feel to be champion? What's next for Mariah May? How many times do we have to
Mariah May? That's
how many
the
times
best
do we have
question.
to hear somebody ask that?
What's next? Yeah. What's next for blank? Yeah. Oh, great.
What's next? Who would you like to defend it? Like, why are you're asking that just to hear yourself talk?
Yeah.
No one cares about that answer, including you, the person asking it. Nobody needs that. So that was actually one of the proud moments at these things where Mariah May got ignored and threw her little fit. I mean, anyone in character should get ignored. I'm not saying they shouldn't. A wrestler, Christian goes up there in character. Who else? All the WWE people.
Yeah.
But in AEW,
Tony Storm would always go up there in character. So
Tony Storm,
she was
and
always
if they
pretty
want to go
worthless.
up there in character, I don't even have a problem with that. If I were a wrestler, I'd go up there in character because I don't want to answer. Why would I want to answer real questions?
Yeah, right.
So I would go up there in character. But you don't have to ask them anything. And believe me, most of them, not Mariah May, obviously, but let me tell you something. Trust me. If Christian or MVP doesn't get asked anything, they're going to be pleased. They don't want to get asked.
Right.
Like
Thank
MVP
God.
was another one.
I will go to the back and get my bag and I will leave. I'll be on the airplane in an hour. Perfect.
Right. So, you're not insulting. Mariah May was insulted. The rest of these guys, they wouldn't be insulted. Most of them aren't going to be insulted. No. They're going to be pleased. Easy night. Great. We don't have to deal with these fucking marks because that's what they're thinking.
Right.
That's what they're thinking.
These fucking YouTubers. Okay? I got to deal with these fucking YouTubers.
Or, that's what they think of all of us anyway. So, and that's what they're thinking. And, so it benefit everyone just to not ask them anything.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's our hour of legal issues in major wrestling companies right now. Let's stick with WWE though. We'll talk about this WWE Saturday Night's main event. Speaking of wrestling media, it's a good wrestling media topic here. So WWE Saturday Night's main event, we did an instant reaction. So if you want to hear our thoughts on Saturday Night's main event, you can go to flagshippatreon.com, $10 tier for instant reaction live for Saturday Night's main event last weekend. It averaged 1,590,000 viewers and a 0.42 in the 18 to 49 demo per both WrestleNomics and Programming Insider. That ranked third among adults in 18 to 49 in primetime, behind the Heisman Trophy presentation on ESPN that got a 0.62, and the NBA Cup, Rockets versus Thunder on ABC, that got a 0.47. In overall viewership, Saturday Night's main event ranked seventh among shows in prime time. So 1.59 million viewers, 0.42 in the 18 to 49 demo per WrestleNomics and Programming Insider. So that's the report that first came out. Now, things got a little more muddy and a little more tricky as the day went on.
Hold on.
Okay.
That's not the report that first came out.
Okay, maybe I don't know the order. How'd the order go?
Here's the order. Jimmy Traina, the day before, put out his tweet where he said, and the tweet is deleted, I'm trying to find
that's right. Okay. I remember what he said. He said, hearing sources, I think I'm paraphrasing here. I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, you got it. Okay, cool.
I got half of it. It says, hearing that WWE Saturday Night's main event on NBC drew more total viewers head to head than the NBA Cup thingy between the Rockets and the who were the
Thunder.
Not the Rockets. The
Rockets and Thunder. Rockets and Thunder.
Rockets and Thunder. Yeah. That was the first. So obviously that was fed to him,
correct,
by either NBCU or WWE. In Traina's case, more likely WWE. He had Roman Reigns as a guest last week. He's had Paul Heyman as a guest, and Paul Heyman doesn't do any media these days unless it's a soft landing spot, right? So it's not like Heyman's going on Wrestling Observer Live. Heyman is going to places like Jimmy Traina. On top of that, on Jimmy Traina's latest podcast, at the end of the show. So here's how Jimmy Traina's podcast works.
By the way, he works for Sports Illustrated, by the way, if people do not know. He's an SI
Sports Media Podcast. Yeah. He hosts the SI Sports Media Podcast. He brings on sport. He does an interview with a sports media figure. I like his podcast. I listen to it fairly often. Not every time, depending on the guest. So he'll bring a guest on, interview him for an hour, and then the last 15 minutes of the show, he brings on Sal Licata, who's a host on WFAN radio in New York, and then they just banter about local New York media stuff, right? So on this week's show, during the segment with Sal Licata, they talked about how they were comped seats to Saturday night's main event, and given, here's the quote from Sal Licata, quote, "We were lucky that we got hooked up and had great seats," end quote, to the Saturday night's main event. So Traina and Licata are, casual wrestling fans. They both enjoy a little, they're WWE fans, And Traina obviously has a relationship with WWE. He has done Fast Nationals infrequently before. He doesn't do them every time. So I suspect that he got his marching orders from WWE just based on his history, the fact that he was comp tickets to the event and all of those things, and his relationship with their PR. But I also know that NBCU was dabbling in a little media nudging / manipulation as well. I am privy to at least one email that I saw with my own eyes where they requested that certain information could be shared, but only on background, right? And it was information with, fudged numbers or favorable numbers. So this time it was coming from both WWE and NBCU. But yeah, anyway, that's the timeline. Traina put out the tweet the day before saying that he was hearing that they did more viewers than the NBA game, which then turned out to be wrong because the NBA game did more viewers than the Saturday night's main event. And then Traina deleted his tweet and he put out that. Do you have his corrected tweet out?
I'm actually trying to look for that right now. He's got several tweets. I'm trying to make it through. Yes, he does. He is a frequent tweeter. So
tweets a lot about Chris Mad Dog Bruce.
He has a lot of tweets about Mad Dog. Yeah. So I'm working my way through the timeline here to get
Well, Jimmy Traina, as you look for that, Jimmy Traina is considered Chris Mad Dog Russo's fourth son because they have a very close relationship. And Russo does his show all the time. And Traina has long been considered one of Russo's PR arms. So it's not as if Traina is immune to this type of antics.
Okay, so here's the updated one. Yes, so December 17th. Yes. So he sent this in December 17th. Quote, I tweeted yesterday that NBC's Saturday Night's Main Event beat ABC's Rockets Thunder game in the ratings Saturday. ABC had 1.89 million viewers on linear. NBC had 1.59 million on linear. If you include streaming on Peacock, Saturday Night Main Event viewership is more than 2.3 million.
So this is where the spin came in. So when the ratings came in the next day, it turned out the NBA game did outdraw Saturday Night's Main Event by several 100,000 viewers. And then the spin machine started spinning from all sides, WWE, NBCU, adding in the Peacock 700,000 alleged viewers, I think it was, from Peacock, which then put them over the top and gave them more viewers than the NBA game. Of course, you cannot combine Nielsen television estimates with the streaming numbers because they're measured differently. We have no idea what that 700,000 viewers means. Does that mean that 700,000 people clicked play and watched for a minimum of 1 second? Does it mean that 700,000 people watched for the entire 2 hours? Nobody knows. But I'll tell you what, if it was 700,000 people that watched for the entire 2 hours, they would have said that. And they didn't say that. In all of the spin and all of the articles, this is how you know, okay, that it's spin time. Because they never say that. Look at the Variety article. The Variety article says that the 2-hour broadcast pulled in 2.3 million viewers on Saturday between 8 and 10, which includes 1.59 million viewers on NBC and an additional 700,000 who streamed it live on Peacock. Variety's just spitting out the PR that they got directly from NBCU. And I know that NBCU was sending that to people. I know it for a fact. I saw it. So, again, as Dave Meltzer pointed out, to his credit, as Raj Giri pointed out, for the streaming numbers, it's not measured the same. So it would have to be, the formula is, the way that Nielsen does it. If you watch for a minute, you would need 120 people watching for a minute to count as someone watching for the full 2 hours. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And
they're measured completely. It's apples and oranges. You're comparing apples to oranges.
Right. So what this tells us is, WWE, in fact, knows that this was a disappointing rating for Saturday Night's Main Event because they're going through all of this effort, number one, to get ahead of it the day before with with Traina and whoever else put it out there. I don't know if anyone else did, but we know Traina did. Okay, so they tried to get ahead of it the day before by saying they had more viewers. And then the next day, NBCU spreading their tentacles out and feeding the 700,000 streaming viewers its spin, because they know the number wasn't great.
Right.
And it wasn't a great number. That's a poor number. And I'm sure they'll do better if The Rock is ever on it. Maybe The Rock will be on it in January. He'll draw more viewers than that. But unless they load them up, and they had Cody on this one. Okay? They didn't have Roman. They had Cody on this one. They didn't have Punk. Okay? So there's other avenues they can go. But it might go lower from here because we know how these things go. The debuts are always the highest. They're going to do it in January. You put The Rock, you put CM Punk, you put Roman Reigns. That's going to tell you two things. Number one, they know the first number sucks. Okay? And number two, I lost my train of thought. But it's going to tell you that they're loading this up to make up for the poor number that they did the first time around. Don't let anyone tell you this is a good number. They're not happy with this number. Because they wouldn't go through all these lengths to provide all this spin.
Right. When that first tweet came out, I think we've trained our audience pretty well. Because when that first tweet came out from training, I'm glad you reminded me of the.
He got killed.
He got killed, and also everybody was just like, oh, we know what this is. What's going on? What's the number must not be good. This might not be true. Like everybody now knows. Okay, what's next? Like, what's the next domino to fall? What's the next shoe to fall? And then, of course, we see that, boom, here it is. Yeah, 1.59, which is tremendously, tremendously disappointing for a NBC, primetime NBC. This wasn't on at 11. This wasn't on in the middle of the night. This was primetime NBC, $1.59 million, 9 million viewers. I mean, that is not good. Yeah, to finish behind, the NBA Cup, and the NBA is having their own existential crisis right now about ratings, particularly a Rockets Thunder, NBA Cup, primetime thing, that caused a lot of dread among NBA fans about the ratings that it got and the ratings that are currently going on in the NBA. So for it to finish behind both of those and then finish 7th overall in overall viewership is that's a bad number. And they knew it was a bad number. And that's why you started seeing the spin come out immediately. And then even worse, mitigated by now then tweeting out. And by the way, if you go out, a lot of the media articles that you'll see out there will not mention the 1.59 million. They're going to mention, like we always say, the 2 million plus. Because you add in the 700,000,
correct?
And now you get a bunch of these articles that say Saturday Night's Main Event does over 2 million viewers, and it's like, no, we can't. If we start doing that, like, by the way, like what would the NBA Cup thing have done if you added in everybody that was watching on random streaming shit? What would the Heisman Trophy thing if you had? That's why it's apples to oranges doing that.
Well,
sort of thing.
Yeah, the NBA game aired on ESPN Plus as well, and the whole thing is because it aired on TV on ABC and ESPN Plus on streaming, they don't typically count those, but 0 people weren't watching on ESPN Plus, right? So if you're going to play this game where you're going to add in streaming numbers and say 700,000 people watched one thing, you can't ignore the fact that the game also aired on streaming, even if technically ESPN and ABC, even though they're under the same umbrella, aren't counted as. You see what I'm saying? You start playing that game, then you have to be fair and do it for both, because there's no way that it got no viewership on ESPN Plus. I'm sure with whatever, if you added in however many people were watching on ESPN Plus, I'm sure once again it would have surpassed the wrestling. So it's just total spin, and it's the same thing where they want you to report this stuff unsourced / on background, because if you look at the Variety article, they cite the 700,000 that watched on Peacock, but they do not cite a source. Well, Rich, what would the source be? Who else would know other than Peacock?
Where else do we get Peacock numbers? Where can I find, Joe? Where can I find the latest Peacock numbers? I want to see how much the episodes of Unsolved Mysteries that I'm watching, what the ratings are for that. Where can I find those? Programming Insider, WrestleNomics. Where can I find the Peacock numbers? Probably nowhere.
But if you read any of these articles that put that number out, there's no sourcing because they ask not to be sourced.
Right. Yeah, the Variety one's the perfect example, because the headline of the Variety one is quite literally Saturday Night's Main Event return draws 2.3 million viewers on NBC and Peacock.
Yeah. Yeah. And and they want people to think that Variety is doing journalism and you know what I mean? They don't want, because if you cite NBCU as the source, then not everyone, but the smart people go, oh, well, NBCU's just fudging numbers here. Who the fuck knows how many people watched it on Peacock? You know what I mean? Media, people who are media literate are gonna. That's why they want it on background. Right. That's why WWE and NBCU wants this stuff, because that and so yeah, totally. And it's funny because as people in the chat are noting, this thing did a lower number than any SmackDown on Fox ever.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like WWE's been foreign. WWE's not been foreign to national TV or network TV. They were just on network TV 2 months ago.
A month ago.
Right. So comparing this directly to SmackDown and Fox, it's like, holy shit, this is a very bad number. I mean, there's no way to spin this thing other than this is a disastrously bad number.
I see. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be that strong.
That's a bad number.
It's not good. It's not good. I agree. It's not a good number. It's
they did not load the show up either. I mean, SmackDown on Fox is like, most SmackDowns are just episodes of SmackDown. This had Cody versus Kevin. That's one of the biggest matches that they have right now. It had title matches up and down the card.
They had Cody, they had Ventura, and they had some title matches. They didn't go as strong as they could have. They can put a stronger show out there. I think in January they will, and I think they'll do a better number as a result. You put The Rock on this thing. All right, let's leave him out of this. If you put CM Punk and the Bloodline on this thing, I think it does a better number. But here's the thing. There was no college football, because remember, this was the week of the Army-Navy game, which airs during the day, and there's no other games.
Yeah, they only had the Heisman Trophy ceremony. to deal
come on, that's a half hour announcement too. That's
right,
not even, it's they had no competition. And that's the other thing. As hard as they're touting the Heisman announcement, tells you again, it's spin.
Right.
People watch that for 10 minutes. They flip back and forth. They put that on when they're making the announcement. Don't let anybody tell you different. That's not a big drawing event. There was no college football. There was no NFL. That's why they picked that Saturday. And they still finished 7th and did 1.5 million or whatever.
So what are they up against on the 25th? I'm trying to look right now. That's got to be January 25th. I imagine 25th. There's a lot going on, right?
Are the Saturday NFL playoff games over by then? I'll check that.
I'm trying to figure that out right now. Yeah, I'll try to figure that out for you.
I bet you they're not going to go up against Saturday NFL playoff games. The wild card weekend is January 11th through 13th. That's the conference championship week, so no NFL.
Okay.
No NFL. It's the day before the conference championship games.
Okay.
See, that's by design.
Yeah, and college football would be wrapped up by then as well. I know that the new playoff, I want to say it ends the 20th.
Let's check it.
I think it ends the 20th, I want to say. Because it's later than ever now, because obviously it's a whole fucking playoff now, but I want to say it's the 20th, so I think they avoid it as well.
They weren't going to go up against.
Oh, hell no.
What's the date on it again?
The 25th, January 25th.
Yeah, there's no college play. There's no college games.
I just looked it up. January 20th. The national championship is January 20th, so they'll avoid that too.
Yeah, so it'll be after college wraps up, and it'll be after. It's the week of the NFL conference championship, so there's no Saturday games, and that's clearly by design. So, and that'll be before or after the Royal Rumble? Right before, right?
Before, yeah. So, Rumble's in February this year.
There's a good chance Rock will be on that. I think they're going to put their best foot forward for that one because they need to put up an impressive number on the next one. So yeah, that's the spin was in full effect there, and there's still people who deny that this PR stuff goes on, and it's dumb from multiple perspectives. One, it's just how these things work.
Why would they? That's what they do.
WWE or wrestling.
That's their job. That's why they're employed.
It's not even unique to WWE. Like, people come after us in comments and online and on Twitter and stuff saying that we're fabricating all this because we don't like WWE. But the reality is this is just how PR arms work for any company. This is not a WWE specific
And again,
thing.
We'll say this again, and maybe one of these times people will listen. We're not dogging on WWE for doing this. This is what they should do. We're dogging on people that report it. We're dogging on the people that then distribute the information. We're not mad at WWE for giving people the information. That's their job, is to give the people their information. They could then choose to report that or not and say, I know what you're doing here. I'm not going to report this, but thanks anyway.
Or I'm only going to report it if I can source you.
Right. Or, if I say, according to WWE sources, but if I'm told, here's this thing that I want you to report, and don't mention that I gave this to you, but go report this, like, that's not how the game works. It's how the game.
That's where the media.
They want the game to work that way, but that's not how the game should work. Yeah.
And that's our criticism has always been on the media. Go read any of my articles; they're all unlocked and free now. I'm shaming the media members, not WWE. I'm pointing out what the spin is, why they're spinning whatever they're spinning, and then I'm shaming the people who share it unattributed. That's the point. And the other points I've made on audio were not criticizing WWE at all. It was criticizing AEW for being so far behind in the game. If you go listen to my audio, but yet there's this idea that all this stuff is like people say, they blame WWPR for AEW struggling. Never once did I ever say that. I said AEW is just really poor at PR, and WWE is really great at it. The idea that it doesn't happen, I mean, it's just so silly. Of course,
at this point, what are we doing?
Every network, every wrestling company, every sports league have PR people that constantly send this stuff out, and you just have to be a buffoon if you think it's not happening.
We get it from MLW. MLW does it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's basic, simple. And then I'll see people say that, well, they've never provided proof. Well, then you've never read any of it. They're all free and you've never clicked them, because I have documented proof from people admitting that that's where they got them from.
Right.
From multiple people saying, yeah, WWE sent me this. Richard Deitch, Sean Ross Sapp, whoever else. Okay, so no, it is, I don't know why they argue against it so hard.
It's
crazy, but we have to keep pointing it out. Sometimes it feels like beating a dead horse, but they're all different instances. And this was another one this week, and you're right. We're starting to really affect the way people, we're successful in raising this awareness. Even if people aren't getting it directly from us, it's filtering outside of our circle, because every time someone does this, like Jimmy Traina a few days ago, they get shit on and dogpiled for it. And that wasn't the case 2 years ago or whatever, before we started harping on it. It wasn't, Rich. So we are making some progress here, and that's been the whole point of our reporting on this, the written pieces, the audio here, the audio behind the paywall, was to raise awareness of what is going on, so people are at least, okay, you do know what's happening here, right? You do know why this spin is happening. It's working. So we could take a little win. We lost on the pressers, but we could take a little victory
we
lap
might be
on
winning
this
on
one.
this. Yeah, we might be winning on this. We'll see.
And it's us. And make no mistake, it's us. Who else is
There's
doing
not
it?
many other people doing these segments. Like the segment that we just did right now, not many other people doing that segment. No.
And if they are, it's because we were doing them.
Right.
People following our lead. This is our baby. This has been our baby.
Imagine having such a sad baby, the baby that we have. But it's the baby we chose, God damn it. What a sad baby. No, it's good. I think it's important. It's important and it's serious. Yeah.
It's better than the other things we're known for. That's for sure. So, let's be proud of this one.
Oh, God. All right, so that's the Saturday Night's Main Event rating. As I said, if you want a review of the Saturday Night's Main Event show, you can go on our Patreon, flagshippatreon.com, $10 tier, instant reaction live, our media thoughts right after the show, hour-plus show breaking down the entire Saturday Night's Main Event show. So that is there behind the paywall, flagshippatreon.com. A lot of other stuff available there as well. Always filled with content there at flagshippatreon.com. I have my Christmas with the Captain series on the $5 tier, going through Christmas-themed wrestling matches, wrestling shows, wrestlers, all that stuff. Just released the ECW December to Dismember show. Very famous, obviously, notable, infamously terrible wrestling show from ECW, WWE ECW, I should say. Important distinction there. But that is there on the paywall. Written content that we have as well. Some new stuff about AEW's media agreement with WBD, which I think actually let's go into that a little bit here in a sec. And then obviously Thursday Dynamite Review and a bunch of other stuff available for you right now at flagshippatreon.com.
New batch of written reviews I put up a few days ago. So that'll be the last batch of written reviews for 2024. So we're going to move on to 2025 after this. Which one of them ended up being noteworthy because I reviewed a NXT Level Up match from earlier this year between, and it was an excellent match. It was Dion Lennox and Uriah Connor. So I've got the review up for that in that last batch of 2024 written reviews, which, I give you hundreds, if not thousands of words on, 5-minute matches. So these are substantial and they're worth the money. But the point here is they announced that Level Up is no more. This is the final Level Up taping. So
it's done. And the spiritual successor, that's 205 Live, right? That's technically 205 Live. So it's over.
Technically, yes. Yeah, technically. So Level Up is gone. Level Up, which was the true developmental show, because NXT, that might be green wrestlers, but that's not, that's a developmental show in name only. Level Up was a true developmental show. The basics, hammerlocks and, simple 4 and 5 minute matches with basic psychology. true rookies, people with like under 10 matches, under 5 matches in some cases. So I thought Level Up was an interesting show, but it is no more. And if you want to read that review on Dion Lennox versus Uriah Connors, of course, Brogan Finley, because, why take advantage of somebody who's a 4th generation wrestler with an established name, including a father who was a star in your own company? Why take advantage of that? Which is one of the best sub 5-minute matches I've seen in some time. So there's a written review on that. And then I reviewed the Bailey versus Miko Satomura match from Sumo Hall over the summer, which Miko Satomura was just incredible in that match. So you get a nice write-up on that one. Alex Shelley versus Chris Sabin from Prestige, which was kind of their goodbye to the Indies before they signed with WWE. And then a match from Inspire AD with Robbie Eagles against the Inspire champ at the time, Lil Evil. So those are the 4 matches that you'll get reviewed behind the paywall. I put that up the other day. So a lot of stuff on it. Here's the other thing we don't really push very hard, but we should. If you don't subscribe, right, you can if you click shop, you can buy individual pieces of content. So if, let's say, you wanted to hear this week's Dynamite review, but you're not interested in subscribing, you don't want to spend the $5 or $10 to subscribe, you can purchase that piece of content for $3. So we don't put everything for sale, okay? But we put, I would say, most of the content for sale in the shop. So you can get the $10 content for $6 a la carte, and you can get the $5 content for $3 a la carte. And there's a lot of people who take advantage of that. So those match reviews I was just talking about, that's on the $10 tier, but you can just purchase that for $6 if you don't want to subscribe for 10. I put all the Thursday Dynamite reviews back there. Rich puts a lot of his stuff for sale in the shop. So you get a little discount if you buy it a la carte, but again, you're just getting that one piece of content. So I don't know if a lot of people are aware of that. So there's that option as well. And also you could subscribe for free, which keeps you up to date on everything we're doing and get you, the free stuff that we put up now and then as well. So, and then the gifting, which we've been pushing the last few weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to do that one more time because obviously that's very important with obviously the holidays coming right around the corner. Yeah. Patreon.com/voicesofwrestling/gift. Patreon.com/voicesofwrestling/gift. You can also just go to the Patreon, and I think there's an option there that makes it pretty obvious. But what you can do is you can gift a friend, family member, a foe, whatever it may be, a subscription to flagshippatreon.com. You could do up to a year. If you want to say, here's a whole year of Flagship Patreon, here you go, it's all yours. Obviously, you have to pay for it, but you then would send it to somebody, and then they would not have to pay for it. So if you want to spring for a $10 subscription for one of your buddies, or hey, you say, hey, you know what, these guys are really cool, I like what they're doing, I think you'll enjoy it, we would obviously appreciate that a lot. Yeah, you can subscribe for a month, 2 months, 5 months, up to a year, whatever you want to do, you pay, and then you could get a link that you can then send to a friend, a family member, whatever, and say, here you go, click this link, and you are all set to go. And there's been a lot coming through. It's been really cool. A bunch of new names that I've never seen before, people, that have probably maybe never heard of us before, or maybe know that they've heard our names because somebody has mentioned it or whatever. It's really cool. And word of mouth is the best way for this thing to grow, because we're not very active on social media anymore. We don't do any level of advertising. We do this show and we do our Patreon stuff. That's it. That's the extent of it. So it's really word of mouth that gets this thing going. And it's been great to see so many gifts being sent to people. So hopefully they enjoy the content as well and stick around. But you can do that at patreon.com/voicesofwrestling/gift. Or as we said, just go to flagshippatreon.com, and that option will be available to you pretty easy as well. But it's really, really cool to see. And hey, 2025 might be a good time to do that, because I did announce as well, and then we'll get to other topics on the show, a brand new series that I'm doing on the $5 tier, Tour of the Territories. What we're going to do is each week, every week in 2025, 52 weeks, every single week, we're going to journey through the American wrestling territories starting in 1983. So we're going to go randomized every single week in various different territories. So what we're going to do is, 1 week we'll go to Southwest, Southwest territory, the Blanchard territory. Then we're going to go to Portland the next week after that. Then we're going to go to Mid-South. And then we're going to go to Memphis, Mid-Atlantic, World Class Championship Wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling. We're going to do 52 weeks, all these different TV shows. I'm already ahead of the game in a little bit. It's been a lot of fun already. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So it's a watch-along project too. So what we're going to do is we're going to provide as much as we can videos of the TV that I'm watching. So we got some help with Griffin Peltier, who's been uploading these things to YouTube, and it looks like we'll be good to go with these videos. So I'll be reviewing, an episode of Memphis TV. You'll have a link where you can watch along as well. Then the next week, I'll watch a Portland TV, and you'll have a link to watch that as well. So it's going to be a fun watch along project. We always hear from people that say, "Hey, I want to do a project. I want to sit down and watch, something. I need a guide. I need a way to do it." Well, this is a great way to do it. Week by week, we'll watch all the American territories through in 1983. That was the year that I could find the most territories available. And hey, if it's successful, we'll bring it back next year. We'll do 1984. But for right now, we're going to do 1983 in Portland, Southwest, Georgia, Memphis, Mid-South, Mid-Atlantic, and World Class Championship Wrestling. So it should be a lot of fun. Tour of the territories. That'll all be on the $5 tier as well. So again, $5 tier is going to get you, God willing, if all goes well, 52 episodes of Tour of the Territories in 2025.
So there's a lot of instant reaction lives coming up too. So if you like the instant reaction lives, it's probably a good time to get on $10 tier. So there'll be a number of those in the next month or so.
Yep. Yeah, getting busy, getting very busy. But let's talk about this real quickly, and then we'll get into some AEW topics here, and then move over to Japan. So today, WBD sent out a press release about details regarding the new media rights agreement that they have with AEW. The press release states that, quotes, "This will provide fans with the widest available access ever to AEW's most popular programming." So essentially what that is starting January 1st, 2025. And this is most of this we already know, but there's some parts that we didn't know. So starting January 1st, 2025, all AEW Dynamite and all AEW Collision programming will stream live and on demand on the Max streaming platform for customers in the United States. So if you're a cable subscriber, you will still be able to watch Dynamite and Collision as you normally would, but now all that stuff will be available on Max as well. So if you are only a Max subscriber, you'll be able to get live Dynamites, live Collisions, as well as on demand after the shows air live. So all Dynamite, all Collision on the Max platform. We knew that was going to happen already, so that's not exactly new news. That new agreement kicks off in earnest January 1st for AEW Fight for the Fallen in Asheville, North Carolina. So, all right, what the press release did, though, some new information, was provided a little bit of clarity regarding AEW's archive, which has really not been accessible at all. There's been no legal way to watch anything from AEW's past, other than whatever they've uploaded their YouTube channel, which is not necessarily full shows or full matches. It tended to just be little clips here and there. There's the timelines, things that they've had. But for the most part, you haven't been able to access the archives of AEW. Well, that will change. Per the release, AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, AEW Rampage, and all AEW pay-per-view content through the end of 2024 will eventually be available on Max. Their exact words were availability, quote, on a rolling basis. So what that means, the timeline for that, we don't know. What we do know, though, is that all AEW Dynamite episodes and pay-per-views from 2019 will be made available immediately on January 1st, 2025. So we know for a fact they will have at least everything from the inaugural year, and the rest will be uploaded, quote, on a rolling basis. So as far as what on a rolling basis means, is that weeks, months, who the hell knows? But at least we have a little bit of clarity on what will be available on the Max archives as far as AEW content. And with so much, fragmented media at this point, with WWE, no idea what the hell's going to be happening to the WWE archives as things move over and change or whatever, a little bit of clarity at least from AEW's side as far as what will be available on Max at some point in 2025.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Yeah, so it's like a slow rollout of the archives. I personally don't have any nostalgia or desire to watch old AEW, quote unquote old. I mean, it only goes back, 5 years at this point, to watch that stuff yet, but it wasn't available at all, unless you paid for some of the pay-per-views on the various streamers and had lifetime access to them or something like that. I mean, there's just no access to this stuff. So, eventually it'll all be up, and it'll be good too it'll be useful for is research and content creation and things like that. where, you want to go back and review an old show or an old Dynamite or an old pay-per-view or whatever.
Yeah, I've been doing that series. I've been doing the Change the World series on our Patreon as well, going back and watching these 2019 pay-per-views, and it kind of sucks because people are like, yeah, I wish I could watch it. Where do I watch it? And I'm
hard
like,
to find them. Yeah.
I'm like, well, I mean, there's places you can find them. I'm not going to link to them.
You're like, I found it, so you can find it. Just,
right. There's places, So it'd be nice to say, well, just here, go to Max, and it's, watch All Out 2019 on Max. It's available right here in HD. Just go there, watch it. Not have to go to YouTube or one of these scuzzy-ass weird places that I go to. So
it's funny because when I do the Jovembers, in the description, I'm like, where can you watch it? And I'm always like, the network. I'm not watching them on the network. I'm watching the network versions of the ECW shows, but it's a legal place to point people, to follow. So yeah, it'll be good for that from that standpoint. Yeah. Do I have a burning desire to go back and watch some Dynamite from, 2021 or something? I really don't. But this is good. I mean, eventually everything will be up there, and eventually there will be, a desire to go back and watch that stuff. So we'll see if they include even the YouTube stuff at some point. That's really getting ahead of ourselves here. But yeah, so at least we get a little news and some progress on that front.
One thing that was not clarified, I guess it was clarified that there is no clarification, was pay-per-view distribution on Max. A lot of people wondering, well, can I buy the pay-per-views on Max? And they said that at some point, here's the quote, AEW pay-per-view distribution on Max will begin later in 2025 with additional information and pricing to be shared in the coming months. So
yeah. I mean,
at some point.
I know a lot of people are I'm not as wrapped up in that. I'll just keep buying them on DirecTV. I don't really give a shit. I'd rather watch them on TV than streaming. Because the TV's more reliable than streaming. But if the Max price difference is worth my while, but then now maybe we're talking. If you're talking $19.99 versus $59.99, yeah, I'm gonna save the $40 and deal with a buffering wheel if I get one. But if they're the same price or if they're $10 cheaper or something, I'm just gonna keep buying them on DirecTV anyway. But I know for a lot of people who are cord cutters, that's big news. They're waiting for these things to go on Max.
Right, maybe a little bit. You have a little bit more confidence in buying it on Max versus obviously Bleacher Report is no longer, but for the past in Bleacher Report or Triller Fight, whatever it might be, YouTube TV has been another option. So yeah, the difference for me is going to be because I've done traditional pay-per-view and I have done YouTube TV a couple times as well, just kind of test it out, and those have all been fine. I've had no issues on YouTube TV.
Yeah,
I've barely had any issues. I think I did it once on Fight as well, and I had no issues there. But yeah, for right now, I will usually do the traditional pay-per-view because there's no real big price difference at all. So it's just easier to sit on my couch and watch it. But yeah, the big thing with Max would be if you can offer it at a cheaper price, then yeah, of course, people would take that over all these other options. But right now, if it's the same price, it's hard to say, oh well, if I've had a lot of success on YouTube TV, so I'll just keep ordering on YouTube TV. But like you said, a $10, $15, $20 difference might say, oh well, fuck yeah, I'll take my chances with Max and try it there.
It would have to be, for me personally, it's got to be a $20 difference to stream it instead of buy the pay-per-view traditionally. 20 is my 20. You got me. Less than 20. I'm just choosing the reliability of ordering from my pay-per-view provider. Because I don't want to deal with any potential issues from a streaming standpoint. But but I get it. A lot of people are cord cutters, and that's going to be a lot of people have been wanting that information. So was it a little later in 2025? That's it. Just that's pretty
just
vague.
says sometime later.
Yeah, I mean, that means they don't know, right? Maybe there's something logistically that they have to,
yeah, I don't know.
Has Max live streamed anything? I don't think they have. Right?
Well, they have no. Well, yeah, they have live components all the time.
Oh, they do they do. That's right. They do the. What do they do? NBA games?
Yeah, they have a ton of stuff. Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good. They've had a lot of.
All right, so they've got the infrastructure.
It's probably just pricing. It's probably just pricing in previous agreements with these companies or whatever.
Yeah,
that's what I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, with sports, the only time, I mean, if something is on TV and also streaming, I'm taking the TV option 100% of the time. I mean, I'm not fucking around. First of all, the stream is a little bit further behind. That's number one. And number two, it's just not quite as reliable. I mean, that Rams 49ers game on Thursday on Prime, it was a horrible, it was so bad. The experience was so bad. I almost switched to radio. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to listen to it.
Wow, I didn't hear about that one being bad. Yeah, is that
and
common?
I don't have a lot of problems.
Is that common on the Amazon ones or no?
I don't think so, because Brittany watches them while I'm doing this, especially if the Cowboys are playing. And she said it has never been bad until this week when she was watching the Rams game with me. And look, that's just a fluke one-off. I get it. You know, when I stream, I almost never have a problem. It's reliable like 95% of the time. But when I watch TV, it's reliable 100%.
Yeah, right. Unless my power is out, it's good. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, the only time I'll stream when I have both options for something is Sunday Night Football on NBC. I do watch that on Peacock instead of NBC, only because my NBC affiliate has a terrible picture quality. And Peacock is obviously pristine picture quality. So I do put it on for Sunday Night Football just so I get the better picture. You know, but otherwise, the only time I'm streaming sports is if it's my only option. If the only way to watch the game is to stream it, obviously I'm gonna stream it. The YouTube TV for Sunday Ticket, I would say there's 2 to 3 weeks per season where it's a fucking nightmare. And then every other week it's fine and I don't have any issues. But I also have an unusual setup. I recognize that I have 4 TVs going at once in one room, and then I have people streaming shit in the other rooms. I concede that my setup is not normal and that maybe putting a strain on my internet. You would know more about that stuff than me. Could that have an effect?
I'm sure. Oh, certainly. I mean, yeah, for sure. You have a ton of people. Usually in my household, it'll be at most 2. You know, it's either me or the nurse. Right. And more times than not, she's not streaming something in addition to me. We're watching the same thing on the same TV or whatever. She's not in the other room streaming something or playing a game while I'm playing. You know what I mean? Like, or I'm not playing a game on, like an online game on PS5 or whatever while she's trying to stream something. That rarely happens at my place. It's usually but I don't think your situation's as unique as you think it is. I think a lot of households have people where there's multiple people streaming things.
Oh, with like 8 devices going at once.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So on a Sunday, I'll have the four TVs will be streaming, and then there'll be people, at least 3 other people doing something on the internet, either the kid playing Fortnite, Brittany streaming something, the girl streaming something on her tablet. So yeah, you're looking at maybe 7 or 8 devices all at once, plus whatever laptops are out. But again, like you're saying, if you have a family of 5 or 6, that happens all the time too, where you have that many devices going at once. So I don't know. It's not like super frequent that I have streaming issues, but it's frequent enough that it's annoying. And you know how many times I had issues with DirecTV, Sunday Ticket? Never. 0. So that's why. And people always get mad when we have this conversation, all these cord cutters but it's just a fact. It's not as reliable. Just say it. It might be more convenient for you. It might be cheaper, but it is not as reliable. And then you get all these people. Oh, I have never had a problem.
Yeah, the best guy is I've never had a problem reply guy. Also,
okay.
Even if you've never had a problem, I'm great. But like, it's clear that other people have had problems. You know what I mean? Like that you're not helpful by saying.
Look at the Tyson fight.
Right, but if I saying.
Look at the fucking Tyson fight. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, thanks for reply guy.
If that Tyson fight had been on ESPN or traditional pay-per-view, no one would have had a problem. But everyone, like 80% of the people who tried to watch had a problem. So
the story of that fight the day after was everybody having problems. And by the way, this is a great kind of segue into, we're only a couple days away from the NFL having their big Netflix day. Christmas Day on Netflix is a huge, huge, huge day for Netflix to launch their live streaming and prove that it works. Because man, I'll tell you, we talked about this a couple weeks ago with the Tyson fight. If there's issues when people are trying to watch the NFL on Christmas Day, that's not going to go well for Netflix. And by the way, Raw is next up. You know what I mean? Raw is right next up. And the thing that everybody always says, I always say, well, hopefully Netflix gets their shit together for the NFL. People say, well, Raw will have less viewers. But I'm sorry, if I'm WWE and I go to Netflix and they say, you know what? I wouldn't worry about it. You guys will have a lot less people watching, so I wouldn't worry. That doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence. Well, can you have it work once? Can you prove that you can do anything? Can you prove that it can stream without any problems before you tell me, you know what? I wouldn't worry. There's not going to be that many people watching. I mean, you fucked up Love is Blind. You fucked up the Tyson fight, and we'll see. We're a couple days away.
Yeah.
A couple days away. If they fuck up the NFL, if I'm WWE, I'm worried. I'm worried sick about what that is. And like you said, the NFL should be worried sick too and have something ready and tell these other networks, turn, whatever marathon you're running on Christmas Day off and throw the game on, because if Netflix shits the bed, fuck them. We're moving to,
NFL's got their own network where they can throw the game on if there's a Mike Tyson, Jake Paul level disaster on their hands, so I think they'll be covered there.
Can they even legally do that? I wonder if they can even do that.
What the fuck is Netflix going to do?
I guess,
give them their fucking money back.
It is the NFL. It is the NFL, by the way.
Yeah.
So if anybody can say, fuck you, we're putting it on our own network and you could figure shit out next time, it is the NFL.
Here's your check back. Someone else will pay us. Do you know what I mean? Like the NFL is not wanting for business partners. So it's like, they have all the power in that scenario. But is anything more annoying than my streaming is always perfect? Reply guy. Is there anything more annoying than that guy?
I've never had any problems.
We have a guy in our chat right now that says I had no issues with the Tyson fight.
Great.
Oh, fuck you.
But also
go
great.
Google it.
A lot of people
Google
did.
it.
Like there's a reason
Google
why it's a story. There's a reason why people talk about it. It's not just because one person had an issue with streaming and we're talking about it. Many. That always used to happen with BR Live. I would say I can't get BR Live to work. And everyone's like, it worked. It never had a problem with me. And I'm like, I'm glad. I'm glad.
Great for you.
I'm telling you, it's not working for me. I'm telling you.
Me and thousands of people complaining on Twitter are having a problem. So good for you.
Right. Working fine for me.
Good for you and your alleged T1 internet connection. They all love to lie about how strong their internet is. Well, you need to get a better... Buddy, I've got the most expensive internet money can buy.
I pay so fucking much for mine.
Please. Well, what do you want? Dial up? Yeah, whatever, pal. Yeah, that's the issue. You're Mr. T1 connection, and I'm running 56K. Yeah, so that's right. me and the other thousands of people. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody pick up the phone. I'm watching.
Yeah. I really thought 10 years ago that streaming would be so worked out by now.
It's not that worked out. It's better, but it's not that much better than it is.
Yeah. Seriously. What was the ROH one? The
Go Fight Live? Or no.
Go Fight Live,
yeah, Go Fight Live. Yeah.
There was one before that too, wasn't there?
I forget the first ROH one, but it was
the Gabe
awful.
Sapolsky How's the Stream days. The How's the Stream. Right.
It's not much better. It's not that much better.
How's the stream?
I forget. Yeah, there was Go Fight Live, but what was the first one? I don't even remember what the first one was.
If anyone could think of that, it's there was something before that or after. There was another janky one.
Because at one point, Go Fight Live or either the janky one was so bad so many times in a row they just said fuck it and stopped. Yeah. There was the one pay-per-view where they just stopped it. They just said, forget it. No, it's not available. Yeah. It was like Final Battle or something too. It was just like, no, it's done.
It was a Final Battle. It was.
Right.
It was a final.
It just stopped halfway through it. They were just like, forget it. It's not going to stream. It was like Davey Richards versus Kevin Steen or something like that. I think was the main event, or I forget what it was, but they just said, forget it. It's not happening. So
it was something. You're right. It was a Final Battle. In fact, where they just threw the towel and gave up and gave everybody their money back. What a fucking mess.
The only one that ever worked was Ustream. That was the only one that ever worked.
Ustream was pretty fucking reliable.
Because you had to pay him $500 or whatever to get.
It was a
G1.
fortune. Yeah. I mean, you were paying $24.99 for a Dragongate Cork and Hall show, but it fucking worked. It worked. I think they were $14.99. There was something ridiculous.
Yeah. And then the G1 package. I remember the one time you were like, Rich, hey, the G1 package, it's only $250. We get all the G1 shows. Yeah. Fine. I was great. No problem. That was great. That was,
It was like $200 for 12 shows.
Yeah.
For the 12 G1
Fantastic
shows.
quality. Looked good.
Worked like a fucking charm. Right. And then we didn't realize how fleeced we were getting until New Japan World was $9.99 a month for every G1 show for under $10. But at the time, it was a novelty, and it didn't seem expensive to pay $200 for the 12 shows.
Yeah. And by the way, the quality's still better on Ustream than it is on New Japan World, even today. Remember how crystal clear Ustream was?
You're still fighting with New Japan World, huh?
It just looks like shit all the time. It just looks glossy.
It's gotten a little better.
It's fuzzy. It's just fuzzy always. I don't know. It's not when you watch Wrestle Universe. It's like, what the fuck? This is how it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
This is how it's supposed to
Wrestle
look.
Universe, blows it away. Yeah, no doubt about that. I don't have a lot of functionality issues with New Japan World, though.
No, it always works. Once I can find the show, that's the only problem I have with New Japan World right now. You get onto that page, and if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, it's hard to figure out what it is. Because it's just like, it's a bunch of these, there's just lines of graphics, and you kind of have to assume. And sometimes they don't use like the actual graphic of what the show was. Like if you're trying to find Power Struggle or whatever, it might just be like Naito, a picture of Naito and whatever, and you're supposed to know that's Power Struggle. Yeah. But otherwise, it's fine.
Does Ustream still exist?
Does Ustream still? I have no idea what's going on with Ustream.
I Googled it. It seems like it was taken over by a IBM or something, so I don't know what's going on. The chat is telling us it was $110 for the G1 that year. Could be right. I just threw 200 out there. I have no idea. I don't remember. It was definitely three figures, though. So might have been 110.
That's not bad. Yeah, 110.
No, for 12 shows.
It was the 2013 G1, man. I'd pay fucking.
It was like $9. Well, it was also that was the first chance we had to watch them all live.
Yeah.
In real time. It was such an incredible novelty.
It was also that G1 too. Remember, it was that G1. Oh, fuck. Good old days.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think it still exists, but what's that janky Japanese streaming service that has a lot of Nico.
Yeah.
They would never take my debit card. Ever.
I tried so many times.
I couldn't get them to take them.
What would happen is I would try to get on, and I would try to get on. It wouldn't work, and then I'd get a call from Chase saying, "Hi,
right.
Your card is being stolen." No, that's me trying to subscribe to Nico. I get how you would block that, and it's probably smart. You should block it. So then I would get on this phone, and this happened like 5 times, and then I just gave up. I would say, no, it's okay. I'm trying to make that purchase. And they would go, okay, no problem, sir. You're good to go. I'd go on, wouldn't take my card again. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want this card to get canceled. I don't have to cancel. I don't have to redo all my fucking online purchases forever just so I can subscribe to Nico. So it's
all your recurring bill payments have to be changed.
Right. Forget it.
Fuck that.
You don't want my money? I'm not going to give you my money anymore, man. So I think maybe once or twice I paid for Nico, but yeah, other than that, it never worked.
And it was like, do I really want to watch what I'm trying to buy that badly? I don't.
A lot of it was Dragongate. I think Dragongate was usually on Nico.
The 1 year they had a bunch of, before New Japan World, there was 1 year where they had random World Tag League shows on there. And it was the year that they brought in Luke Gallows and Guns and Gallows debut or something. And I remember it wouldn't take my card, and I was getting frustrated. And then I took a deep breath. I was like, Joe, you're getting frustrated over a World Tag League show?
Right, to watch Guns
and
who
Gallows. Cares?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to see this, It was just, I wanted to buy it and watch it because I could.
Because you could. It was a new thing. And then the best thing is when you got on into Nico, it took 25 minutes to close all the like windows. Because it was supposed to be, you're supposed to watch these things, but then you were also supposed to like be in a chat. But the chat was just a bunch of people sending emotes. It was just like emojis to one another. Yeah. And then like they would hit an emoji, and then your screen would fill up with like cry emojis or whatever. And you'd be like, no, I'm just trying to watch Guns and Gallows versus, Killer Elite Squad. Leave me alone.
It was all it's all that Japanese uwu shit that was all over the fucking thing.
I'm just trying to watch Lance Archer get in the ring with Luke Gallows. Leave me alone. God.
Yeah, all that fucking arigato uwu fucking horse shit, fucking cross-eyed girls with their tongues out. Like you'd be trying to watch wrestling and like, yeah, you're right. Like a giant like panda bear would go across the screen like with like big googly eyes and like, what is this crap? I'm trying to fucking watch wrestling here. And I got a fucking
Hello Kitty. I got Hello Kitty character. Sailor Moon.
Sanrio Surprise and fucking Hello Kitty on the fucking screen. What is this shit? It was very frustrating. Very annoying. Yeah.
As far as I can tell, Nico is still alive, but nobody is streaming on Nico, thankfully. So,
well, they all have their own streaming services now. So it's like all the wrestling. I don't know what they show on there now. Probably some fucking tentacle porn or something based on.
I would assume tentacle porn. Yeah,
it's kind of fucking perverted shit. But I'm sure that it's fucking anime or something. fucking Yuri on Ice or whatever the fuck. It's probably what's on there.
Yuri on Ice, yeah.
yeah, but no, that's how it was set. Like, I think that's what it was for. Like,
yeah. Somehow wrestling got on there, but it was clear that wrestling was like not what was supposed to be on there.
Right. It was probably all Japanese teenage girls we were watching with, and they're sending their fucking heart emojis and,
right.
Oh no, Bear is driving, right? And it's like, what the fuck is this? This is not Guns and Gallows and fucking, yeah.
Like the 2012 World Tag League. It's just like,
yeah, I'm like, I don't need to see the World Tag League that bad, right. Got to fight through these chats because, like, you're right. The match would be on a little screen. There'd be all kinds of other shit all so over the screen.
Yeah.
Fucking hearts and panda bears and all that like weeb shit. All the weeb shit all over the place. But like genuine Japanese people though. So
yes.
You can't even say it's weeb. You know what I mean? So that's just their shit. Like it's not like weeb shit. It's their shit. It wasn't like...
Yeah, we were invading their shit, but anyway.
Right, we were invading their shit. Yeah, exactly. So you can't even complain from that standpoint, because that's just their shit.
It was just a lot. It was a lot to handle.
We're the interlopers here.
Yeah.
Right? We're the interlopers, They should be like, no, fuck you, Gaijin. You're going to deal with our panda bears, because this is our site, You're the one trying to use your foreign credit card to get in here. You're the one colonizing Nico. Hit the bricks, white boy,
Yeah, you're right. Oh, God. All right, well, hey, since we're talking about Japanese wrestling, let's do it. Well, actually, sorry. No, hold on. Briefly, let's check in on the AEW Continental Classic. Then we'll get to Japanese wrestling. Briefly check in. Continental Classic. You did a little bit of this on the Thursday Dynamite review this week over at flagshippatreon.com, so we don't have to belabor the point too much. But we're down to the nitty-gritty with the C2. Only the Hammerstein shows and World's End are left. And essentially all you need to know is in the Blue League, Beast Mortos, he's out, eliminated, cannot win. In the Gold League, Commander is out and cannot win. Everybody else in every other league is still in play. Now, there's some weird scenarios for a few other people, but technically, Commander and Beast Mortos are the only people that are out. In the Blue League, Kyle Fletcher has 9 points, Okada has 7, Shelton Benjamin has 6, Mark Briscoe has 6, and Daniel Garcia has 4. In the Gold League, Darby Allin has 6, Claudio has 6, Ospreay has 6, Ricochet has 6, and Brody King has 6. So everyone's in play.
Yeah, Garcia has 4, but he has 2 matches left, so he can get to 10.
Right.
And one of those matches is Kyle Fletcher's last match. So if Garcia were to get to 10, Kyle Fletcher would still be on 9. So that's how Garcia still has a path. So Fletcher, I don't think he hasn't clinched yet either. So
he has not.
No one's clinched. No one has clinched, and just Beast Mortos and Commander are the only ones who are eliminated. And obviously the Gold League with everybody tied with 6. And if you're listening to this before Friday, apologies on the spoiler, but Brody King did defeat Commander. But see, the thing with Brody King, even though he's technically in that tie, he only has 1 match left. So Brody King can only get to 9 if he beats Will Ospreay. Everybody else in the block that's
to do
alive,
double countouts, right? It had to be like double countouts or DQs across the boards.
Well,
or
he can get through, I think, with a bunch of draws, because he can get to 9. Like, he's not mathematically eliminated, but it would require.
He would have to win, and everybody else would have to draw, right?
Well, he only has 1 match, so if he wins his match against Will, and then let's say Will Ospreay lost his other match to Ricochet, but that would then also put Ricochet at 9. So then Ricochet would have to lose his other match to Darby Allin, which would put Darby Allin at 9. But then Darby would have to lose to Claudio, right? And that would put Claudio at 9.
Mm-hmm.
But one guy could get to 12 because 2 guys get through. But then you're going to have ties with other. Brody cannot advance.
It's very
clear.
Weird. Yeah, it's very wonky.
He can't advance. Yeah, he can't advance clear without some draws. But as we saw last year, if there's ties, they don't do tiebreakers. They'll do 3-way. You see what I'm saying? But this year, you can't really do that because you're having the semifinals versus. So in other words, if there's a 2 or 3-way tie for second place in the gold, who the hell faces first place in the blue? All of them? Or do they do some? You see what I'm saying? And they're not going to do that. So Brody is not mathematically eliminated. Yeah, all the other matches could end in draws and he wins his only other match or whatever. But he's fucking out. He's not moving on. So it's going to be 2 of the others. And really, it could be, I mean, you'd think it'd be Darby and Will, right? But yeah, it's going to be Darby and Will, but I wouldn't be stunned if one of the others snuck through.
You could maybe get Claudio. Claudio's somebody. I don't think Ricochet's getting through. Brody, we just mentioned, that's going to be very difficult for him. Claudio would be my dark horse, but I would, if I was a betting man, and I am not, Joe, I would have Darby and Will getting through in the Gold League. And then the Blue League, Danny is, I don't think Garcia is getting there. That, like I said, Briscoe,
I think, weird about it.
Briscoe's going to get upset by Mortos. I think that's a lock.
Mortos is going to knock out Briscoe.
Right.
That's obvious.
So that's out. Yeah.
Like,
Briscoe is out. I can't rule out Garcia wholesale just yet. I think it's going to be Fletcher and Okada, but I can't rule out Garcia.
Well, Fletcher has to go through.
Yeah.
And you would think Okada has to go through.
I would assume. Again, if I were a betting man, it would be Okada and Fletcher who I'd bet on.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the weird thing with Garcia. The match with Shelton is on what day is that?
That is
Saturday?
this coming Saturday, yeah. Christmas Collision.
And they did the big angle where Shelton held up the TNT title. But if Garcia loses that match, he's out. So that's weird, right? From the standpoint of
right, he's winning that match.
Right, but it's like, then how do you get to doing a title match with Shelton if Garcia just beats him? Why shoot the angle teasing with the title? See how that's a weird match with a hard to figure.
Yeah, well,
you know,
I will say one thing is AEW doesn't always make sense anymore. So you could just have Shelton say, "I want the title." You beat me once, but can you beat me for the title? And then they would have the title match.
I mean, the way they did it, it just, all right, well, Shelton's going to beat him, and then that's going to justify getting a title match after the tournament or even on the pay-per-view if they're both out. Right? That's logical. The problem is then Garcia goes into the match against Fletcher just as a spoiler. That, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Would they treat... That's why I think it's... Now, if the Benjamin match was last, then I'd say, all right, well,
right,
Benjamin,
that makes all the sense in the world then. Garcia gets upset, quote unquote, by Shelton Benjamin, and then has to defend his title against Shelton Benjamin at World's End. That makes all, but it's reversed.
And then even if Shelton is eliminated by then, Shelton knocks out Garcia and earns a title shot. So they should have done the Shelton-Garcia match last if Shelton's winning. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, of course.
It would have made more sense that way. But maybe Garcia's just beating him, and then they're going to find a convoluted way to get Shelton a title shot. Or maybe Shelton just isn't getting a title shot, and they just did that angle for nothing, like holding the title. But again, it's tricky now these days with AEW because it's scattered. So
it doesn't always make the most sense. Yeah, it doesn't always follow A to B to C booking.
I mean, to get Darby and Will through, let's work this out. So is Ricochet losing twice? Because he's got Darby and Will in Hammerstein.
I kind of think, yeah.
He can now because he's just like a heel and he's a geek.
Yeah,
like
I think by turning him into a quote unquote geek for the time being, I think
he can lose.
I think he can lose easily or should lose easily.
And they set up a program with Swerve, so they already have Ricochet set up to do something after this, which kind of tips off that he's not going through. So, Will be. Do they have to win both matches? So Will has Brody and Ricochet. Darby has Claudio and Ricochet. Claudio, of course, is, he's feuding with him. And he lost to him already, right? So he's winning that. Wait. Yeah, Claudio beat Darby, right? Let's double check that. In that singles match on Dynamite before the tournament?
Yes. Let me double check. I think so. I'm clarifying right now for you.
Yeah, Claudio beat Darby on November 20th. So yeah, Darby is going to beat Claudio. So yeah, I guess Ricochet is going to lose twice because he has to, or he will have 9 also, and then there's going to be a tie. They're not going to have a tie. So, because if Will wins both his matches, he has 12, and he's through. But if Darby beats Ricochet, if Darby beats Claudio and loses to Ricochet, they both have 9. And they're not going to, you know what I mean? They're not going to do that. And Claudio would have to lose the commander in that case, or it'd be a three-way.
Right.
So Darby and Ospreay are both winning both their matches.
I would assume, that makes all the sense in the world to me. I think the pivot of Ricochet into Dork makes that a lot easier to do. And I think, Darby upsetting Claudio is fine. You know what I mean? That works. It's not even an upset. I'm calling it an upset because, whatever. But that will be a good, and it furthers the story too, because we know that the long-term story is Darby is going to, work his way through these guys and get to Moxley. So that makes all the sense in the world there.
Yeah.
And then beating Ricochet is easy.
And then Claudio can beat Commander on the last night early in the show, which will technically have him alive until either Darby or Will get to 12th point. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
So that's how it's going to be. So Darby and Ospreay are going to win both matches. Ricochet's losing both matches, and Claudio is splitting. Claudio is losing to Darby on the 21st, and then Claudio is beating Commander early in the night on whatever show that's on the 22nd show, and then gets eliminated later when Darby beats Ricochet and Ospreay beats Brody King.
Yeah.
So we just spoiled the Gold League for everyone. That's that. In the Blue League, that one's a little harder, which is funny because the one where everybody has 6 points is easier. So, and the thing is, are they going to use? All right. So going back to the gold. Are they going to have a tie? They have to have a tiebreaker to determine first and second. So Darby would win the block, right? Because he beat Will.
Yeah.
Because they're both going to have 12 under that scenario. But last year they didn't have tiebreakers. But you have to have tiebreakers this year because somebody has to be first and someone has to be second. So Darby will be first. Will be second there.
Surely they've addressed the tiebreakers, Joe. Surely they've said somewhere.
And explain this thoroughly on television.
Right. Surely they've done this. I'm not even going to even look it up because I'm sure everybody knows at home exactly what the tiebreakers are.
Maybe Matt Kemp is explaining it on YouTube to an audience of no one. Right. Did they even stop those? Have they even continued?
No,
those?
I think they're still going on. I don't actually. You know what? I don't know. Let me find out if those are still going. I think they still are. I don't know who's watching them. I've heard nobody say anything about it. Let's see. Inside week 3 recap. 12,000 people watched the one from 2 days ago. So
they're still doing them.
They're still doing them. Yeah. Oh, by the way, update on the Big Boom, the Fat Kid, and the Rizzler or whatever.
The Fat Kid and the Rizzler. They're both fat kids.
I guess they're both fat kids, but the one has a nickname. Oh, I guess what's the other one's nickname? Big Justice or whatever the fuck. Is it Big Justice? Big Justice. Okay.
I don't know why, but he's Big Justice.
He's Big Justice. Okay. That is their featured video on the AEW YouTube channel. So surely that would help it get
millions of views.
Millions upon millions of views. Right now, streamed 3 weeks ago, it is at 437,000 views. So, Joe, it's creeping up, but it is still about 10,000 views away from last year's Full Gear 0 Hour. But working its way up the ladder. So it just needs another 40,000 to reach All in London, then another 200,000 to reach World's End 2023. But right now it is settling at 4. Yeah, these are the pre-shows, the 0 hours.
It's gonna teeter out. It's gonna peter out now because
it already has, Joe. Yeah, it has. Every time I check, it's like incremental differences.
So AJ and the Costco guys, their pre-show won't even be top. It won't even be the most viewed pre-show on the AEW YouTube.
Right now, it hasn't even beat last year's Full Gear 0 Hour.
Can we get apologies? I want apologies from people who.
I would love to see them.
They have meant less than nothing. The ratings have cratered since they came into the company. Their pre-show video will not even be number 1, let alone do millions and millions of views. The Rampage did nothing. The Dynamite did nothing when they were advertised. I don't know, man. This is one of our best victory laps. We've had some good ones. I mean, unbelievable. So let's see if we can spoil the Blue League. Let me see if I can work this one out.
Yeah, this one's a little more interesting because of the way
tricky
it is
because
all.
that Garcia-Benjamin match has me all fucked up. I really don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, Briscoe and Mortos, I'm with you. I think you said that on the Dynamite review. The Beast is clearly beaten Mark Briscoe there. It makes all sense.
That's an easy way to knock Mark out.
Yeah.
Mark had more. He did better this year from a point standpoint. Plus, he had a really good tournament. So Mark got over plenty in this tournament.
Yeah, Shelton Garcia is a weird one. That let's put a pin in that one. We'll go back to that. That's on Collision.
Know what to do with that. Yeah.
Blue League, Shelton Benjamin versus Okada on Dynamite.
That's the last match for both guys, right? Let's make sure. No, Shelton has that dopey Garcia match. So,
no, but that would have already happened before. That will have happened.
It's going to happen before,
right?
So Okada beats Shelton and locks up his spot, right?
Correct. Yeah, the champ's not losing. The champ's not losing ahead of the
So he'll get he's winning that. So he'll get to 10. So we'll put Okada through.
And then Fletcher Garcia. I think it makes Fletcher just beats him, right?
Right. So Garcia beats Benjamin to get to 7. And then it comes down to Fletcher Garcia to see who goes through.
Yeah,
you're right.
And Fletcher wins.
And then Fletcher wins. So we'll have Fletcher in first, Okada in second, which would set up Okada versus Darby and Fletcher versus Will. There you go. We just spoiled the rest of the tournament.
It sounds good. That sounds pretty good at World's End. Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. Fletcher Will is one semi, and Okada Darby's the other. That's an interesting match. How they'll mesh, and then it guarantees Okada in the final. And that works from the standpoint of you're either getting Okada Will Ospreay, which hose me down, right? Or Okada is going to get his win back against Fletcher in the final is the story.
Right.
So what they're opting for is advertising Ospreay Fletcher instead of teasing it as the final.
Mm-hmm.
Just telling you you're going to get it. I think we worked it out. The only kink in our plan, I still can't get past Garcia beating Benjamin, making no sense.
Yeah. It's backwards for sure.
Now, if they didn't shoot that angle, all right, who cares? Garcia beats Benjamin, right? But it's like, could he beat Benjamin and then they come down and jump him afterwards? Because that's allowed. You just can't interfere.
Unless they just do it. Unless they just do an interference, because fuck it. Because that's going to happen at some point, right?
No, they can't do that. That's beyond the pale. They can't do that. Because they said they'll get fired, quote unquote, but can they turn that into an angle? I don't think they're going to do that.
I would hope not. That would be a real sorry.
But if Garcia loses, he's eliminated, and then you have your TNT champ playing.
No, he's got to beat Shelton.
Okay, how about this? All right, I think I figured it out. Because that puts Ben. Okay, all right. Nope, I have a scenario for you.
What do you got?
Oh, no, that has a hole in it too. I was gonna say Benjamin could beat Garcia. But Garcia could wrestle early on the 22nd and technically be alive when he gets into the ring, but he won't be. Because if Benjamin beats him, then Garcia can only get to 7, and Benjamin and Fletcher will both have 9. So Garcia has to beat Benjamin.
He's got to, yeah. So they'll maybe a beatdown angle at the end, and then he holds his title up again type thing. Who knows? You're right, though. It is out of order. I would have definitely switched the order to that, and it would have made a lot more sense. But
yeah. So I'm pretty confident in our predictions here.
I think they're pretty good. Yeah, pretty. I mean, those are working backwards. I mean, that's kind of the semifinals I thought we were going to get for the most part, right? I mean, we knew it was going to be Ospreay Fletcher. I had that locked in, circled, no doubter. Okada was going to be in there, and then it was just a matter of who's that last person. But I mean,
all right. So
Darby.
So someone's asking. Sean Cedar says Garcia beats Shelton, Fletcher beats Garcia. Yeah, that's what we said, Sean. But then someone else said, "Can they go to a draw?" No, because a draw eliminates Garcia, and I don't think they're going to eliminate Garcia before the Fletcher match. I think they want Garcia and Fletcher to be for advancement.
Right. That's on Dynamite. That's on Dynamite in Hammerstein. That's a big time deal. I don't think they're going to want those guys to hit the ring and go, oh, well,
right.
This match really doesn't matter that much. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter for Garcia.
Right.
It's like they want Garcia Fletcher to be for advancement. And it would be under that scenario. So, yeah. Garcia has to beat Benjamin. Why do these dates say? Hold on, because I'm not going to say it because then the chat's going to get all rambunctious. Let me look it up myself. Why did the dates say the 21st and the 22nd? Oh, because they're taping Rampage on the Dynamite and Rampage. So Collision's
live. Dynamite's
being taped on Sunday.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, so
Christmas and all
because
that
it's on Christmas. Yes, they're not going to have everybody show up on to Hammerstein on Christmas, so they're filming it.
Wait, are they airing that on Christmas?
On Christmas Day, yeah. So tell the family hit the fucking bricks.
That'd be a fun rating. That'd be a fun rating.
Yeah, can you imagine against the NBA, the NFL, and I don't know the Christmas holiday? That's going to be. But you know what?
Oh my!
By 7 p.m., who fucking cares? Nobody wants to talk to people or be with family anymore. I know I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be good. You're up against the NFL though. That's going to hurt. But like, you know what I mean? Like by 7. I'm kind of good. I'm kind of ready to, unless you're forced to be somewhere, I'm kind of ready to be. But you know what? That's a good opportunity. But it's going to get demolished. The rating's going to get demolished for sure.
Yeah, as somebody just noted, Briscoe beat Garcia, so he would be in line for the title shot, not Benjamin.
We're also.
Oh no, Rich! Oh no!
Triple threat.
They're doing a 3-way at the pay-per-view. Oh, fuck. They're going to do a 3-way.
MVP is going to go, oh, hey, yo, it's time for a triple threat.
Oh, shit. We just figured it out.
Yeah. God damn it, the Mad Dog stuff.
Oh, God damn it, because Briscoe beat Garcia, and then Garcia called Briscoe for backup, and they both got beat up by the Hurt Business.
Yeah.
So they're going to do a fucking 3-way at the pay-per-view because they're all going to be eliminated.
Well.
Well, nevertheless.
Triple threat.
What are you going to do?
We want our championship opportunity in a triple threat match. You know
what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What can you do?
It's just what wrestling. That's what wrestling is these days. All right. So that is AEW. That is AEW. Good pay-per-views. Good pay-per-views. Great pay-per-views.
Fucking shit.
ROH Final Battle 2024 this Friday. Clear your schedule, folks. This Friday for ROH Final Battle 2024. Main event, Athena versus Billy Starks. No, sorry. This is the Final Battle 2023 preview. No, wait. This is also the match on this week. Yeah. Is this right? Am I seeing this again? We're doing Billy Starks and Athena again. Are we actually going to do the real story this time?
Who could care? Who could care at this point?
We had the story. They had the story. They were doing it again.
Remember when Athena felt hot?
Yeah.
And
a year ago.
Right. Remember how, and now people are pretending she's still hot?
Yeah. Like, it's pretty sad.
She's not hot. Nobody cares about Athena. Last year, a lot of people cared about Athena. Last year, she was hot. I keep hearing people argue she should be the main event. Maybe they'll put it on last. I don't know. But Chris Jericho, Matt Cardona is the main event of the show. Can we just be realistic here? Okay. It's the only one they're pushing on TV. It's the one that they're expecting to sell the tickets. It's the one they're expecting to sell subscriptions, not Athena and Billy Starks. Athena's time has come and gone. They missed the window.
Last year. It was Final Battle 2023. Billy Starks should have beat Athena. Everybody, I cannot even fathom anybody who didn't think that story was all building up to Billy Starks. How bad was that story where you have all these weeks and months of build and build and build and build, and then Athena beats Billy Starks, and Billy Starks goes, you were right, and hugs her, and we move on. And it's like, what?
You were right. I'm still a minion.
Yeah, you're right. I do kind of suck still.
I'm still subservient to you, queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Yeah. What is that? What kind of fucking story is that? And just like we said, it sucked all the juice out of it.
And here we are a year later, and we're going to try to get excited about Billy Starks and Athena again. All right.
Here we are a year later, and it's the first time I've thought about Athena in a year. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Right? Like she, 2023 was her year. 2024 was nobody cares anymore. And, and now Billy will beat her probably this time. Well, maybe. Who the fuck knows?
I would certainly hope this time. Yeah.
It's like the ship has sailed, man. And, and they know it too, because are they pushing that match on TV, or are they pushing Chris Jericho and Matt Cardona constantly on TV? Which one?
Yeah.
So, I thought I saw, wasn't there a Fightful report Didn't they announce what's going on last?
I thought they announced that Athena and Billy Starks was going to go on last.
Yeah, well, we all know that's not the real main event. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. It's one of those situations where it's not the match they're leaning on to set. I mean, if they would have built this show, they're trying to sell tickets here. Athena Billy Starks isn't selling one ticket. So anyway, there's the top two matches. Jericho Cardona. I know Meltzer was talking about how they're trying to sign Cardona, which okay, but I don't know. It's Cardona does very well for himself on the independents, but it's been a number of years now. Do you think he feels like it's time to just settle in and take a contract and not have to worry about, being your own agent and booking yourself and flying to a different fucking city 3 times a week? I guess that's up to him. Although I'm sure he's the most highly compensated and most well-paid independent wrestler in the country. I'm sure that he is.
Yeah, but it's a grind. I mean, it's a grind to show up and
it is a grind. Yeah.
Go to these random buildings all over the country or whatever. Yeah, he's probably, like you said, he's being paid handsomely for it. But at a certain point, you get sick of, going to VFW halls or whatever, and doing that stuff. Sometimes you want to know where your next booking's going to be. And, yeah.
Emails and the text messages and knowing where you need to he could take a contract, a very good contract, and work way less, or he can take the contract and keep doing the indies too.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't see why he wouldn't take a deal if they're offering him one, but that's your, let's call it a double main event. Let's be fair.
Main event.
It's your double main event.
Yeah.
Dustin Rhodes and Sammy G, who was demoted to ROH. Let's be honest and call it what it is. That's a demotion. Had nothing for him on the main roster. They've been doing this program with the Righteous. I have been chipping away at some ROH TV, so I'm not coming in completely blind on this. So I've been doing the homework. But, I like the Dustin Rhodes Sammy gimmick. I think it works from an entertainment standpoint. You figure there's a split coming at some point. It's American pro wrestling. Tag teams are put together to eventually split up. So this will be a Texas bull rope match. So I think this is a sleeper match. I think it could probably be really good.
Yeah, it'd be really good. Dustin will be bleeding buckets for sure. So yeah, I think that could be really solid.
Yeah. By the way, they added a bunch of matches that
I have all the 0 hour. I have them all in front of me. So
I'll go through the rest of these.
Do the main card, and I have the 0 hour for you.
I think they added stuff that wasn't 0 hour too. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to it. So, Survival of the Fittest. They always do these. Brian Cage, who beat Atlantis Jr. for this ROH, there was a very good match on the last 0 hour. I think that was that an ROH pay per view or was that on? No, that was on an AEW.
That was a 0 hour for an AEW pay per view. Yeah.
Yeah. So Willie Mack, AR Fox, Mark Davis, Commander, and Blake Christian. Mark Davis should be tugging the cut. You'd be a little worried. They got him working the ROH pay-per-view. He doesn't really have a role in AEW right now. Once, he's just going to be fodder for the Callis family. I know he's teaming with Will Hobbs. What is this, 2021? Powerhouse Hobbs on, was it Rampage, I think?
Yeah. It's Rampage. But yeah, he feels very much like that guy that's like, yeah, your tag team partner's like going to be a main eventer and you're you. And
the
also
term you're looking for is the Genetti.
The Genetti, yeah. But he also, he hasn't really helped himself either. God.
No, he doesn't have a ton of charisma. When he wrestled the couple of times he wrestled on Dynamite, he's just got like plain black gear, like he's a Japanese young boy. So he's not really standing out.
He showed up to TV and like that. Remember that was like that collar, shirt that the collar was all like stretched out and stuff and like crooked.
Yeah,
like,
he didn't look great in his own clothes. Yeah, he didn't look very telegenic. It's a television business, and he didn't. He's a good worker. He's an excellent worker. They don't really have a role for him, and I don't know. He seems like a really strong candidate for when the clock ticks out on that deal. Thank you for your service, sir. Because I just, it's a shame, but I don't see where they go with him. And anyway, he's in this Survival of the Fittest 6-way match here. These are always just a lot of fun. Just a high level version of the WrestleMania weekend scramble matches, basically, with better workers.
Right.
Red Velvet defends the ROH Women's TV title against Layla Hirsch. If I would have quizzed you on who the ROH Women's World Television Champion was,
never guessed Red Velvet.
Okay,
that would have been a tough. I don't know how many names I would have gotten before, but I would have thought Layla Hirsch would have been a pick before Red Velvet. Layla Gray, I would have went through 2 Laylas before I got to Red Velvet. I'll tell you that. I would have definitely went Layla Gray and or Layla Hirsch before Red Velvet.
Would one of your guesses have been, listen, sir, you can't pull the wool over my eyes. There is no ROH World Women's Television title.
False. That title doesn't exist. Why would that title exist? That title
being tricky, Joe.
Yeah.
You're being tricky. Lee Moriarty has an opponent now for the Pure title.
Oh, he does.
Or did they?
No, I think as of 59 minutes ago, it is still TBD. Open challenge. We'll see who shows up at Final
Battle. I thought they put him in a tag match instead.
We're doing this while Ring of Honor airs, I guess. As far as I know,
they're announcing shit. Yeah.
As far as I've seen, Lee Moriarty. Well, the chat room will let us know, but I'm pretty sure it's versus TBD.
Jay Lethal, QT Marshall. They did an angle where they were supposed to have a sit down interview with Rick Bone, and QT Marshall no showed. Very disrespectful to Jay Lethal. So that was the big go home angle for that match. So. Again,
We're doing two more matches, by the way. Ready to go. You ready for those? I got 2 more for you. On the main
we're
show.
ready. Just to clarify, we're doing this live as they're announcing this shit earlier. So, all right. Well, what else we got?
Mansoor will be facing Atlantis Jr.
Okay, that's main show.
Main show. And also,
I'm sure he'll be accompanied by Dio Madden, or whatever his name is now.
Max.
What's his name?
Max Madsen or so? No, that's a car dealership in Chicago.
It's still Madden related. Madden Max or Madden.
Yeah, who cares? Gimmick sucks.
Martian Manhunter.
I'm pretty sure they pulled Atlantis Jr. from CMLL on Friday to do this show too, and he's in there with
it's crazy. Yeah.
Mansoor. And then this match rocks. Katsura Shibata versus the Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington. I need to see Tommy Billington on all these Ring of Honor shows. That's like ready-made to build that guy and develop him.
Yeah, why is he not just there working all of them?
Always.
I mean,
I want him on Ring of Honor all the fucking time. He should be there constantly. That's a perfect
match. Him up. Put the TV title on him. Who's the ROH? Wait, do they have a team or just the Pure title? They have boy, we're on top of this.
Sure. I'll be honest, I have not been locked in on Ring of Honor television.
How could you be? It's terrible. Let's see. I've been watching it. Believe me, it's not good.
Isn't Brian Cage is the TV champ, right?
Oh, that's right.
That's the title he has, right?
Yeah. So I was put the TV title on him. Belt up Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington. That's what I would do. Who are they saying has visa problems in the chat?
They were talking about Billington. Billington had visa problems, but now he's good. So, Zero Hour. You ready for the 0 Hour lineup?
Yeah, give it to me.
4 all-star filled matches here.
I love that. Pack it.
Harley Cameron versus Hanako from Stardom.
All right, tell me all about Hanako.
I don't know if I've ever seen. I'm sure I've seen her, but I have no thoughts about her. Yeah, I have no thoughts about Hanako. So, Lee Johnson and EJ Naduka versus the Gates of Agony. I like that match.
Oh, I saw a Lee in a tag team match, and I got confused with Moriarty.
EJ or JLJEJ or whatever the fuck their team name is versus the Gates of Agony. Alex Reynolds and John Silver versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. And then the Infantry versus Undisputed Kingdom.
They still got those guys working ROH shows, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Taven and Bennett.
Yeah.
They're going to turn on Cole, right?
I think so. Yeah, I the way that my pro wrestling mind works is that when Adam Cole's like, I'm going to have backup to make sure that you don't get the upper edge on Sunday.
You don't get the ring. Yeah.
Right. That's the telltale sign of these guys are turning on me.
Plus, why were those guys so horny to make sure that Cole got the match against Max?
They're just very good friends.
Right. They were so horny for that. And, now it's all going to come together. But I see they're still wrestling on the Final Battle pre-show as well. But, all right. So, ROH Final Battle. And looking forward to that. What day is that again? Friday.
This coming Friday. Yep.
All right. So,
ROH Final Battle 2024. All right, let's get into the world of Japan as we technically, well, I mean, the one show was in America, but I want to talk about Strong Style Evolved second. Can we talk about Dragongate first? I don't want to put Dragongate last.
All right.
I feel bad. It's Stalker. We can't do that to Stalker Ichikawa. So let's talk about that first, and then we'll go back to Final Battle. Fantastic Gate, December 17th, 15:52 in Korakuen Hall to see the final match of, and I'm still going to call him Stalker Ichikawa, even though I know he's technically Konomama Ishikawa. In my mind, he is always, quote, Hollywood, quote, Stalker Ichikawa,
yes.
Right?
That's who he is. Yes.
He's Hollywood Stalker Ichikawa. He will always be that to me. Just like Jimmy Susumu is always Jimmy Susumu, even though he hasn't been Jimmy Susumu in 6 years. That's what he still is. Like once you lock in on a Dragongate name, it's very hard to switch off that name. So he will forever be Hollywood Stalker Ichikawa to me. So,
well, just when I got used to muscle memory of Jimmy Susumu, they changed him back to Susumu Yokozuka, and I got annoyed. So it's like, you can't do that to people. But so anyway, he's Hollywood Stalker Ichikawa.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna from moving forward, I'm gonna call him Hollywood Stalker Ichikawa for the rest of this show because that's just how I know him. So he is retiring, and if people have never seen him, you and I have been on record many times as saying probably the best comedy wrestler ever. Right, a guy that's legitimately funny. And people and there's this misnomer that you and I hate comedy in wrestling, and I don't love comedy in wrestling, but what I really don't like is not funny comedy in wrestling or bad comedy in wrestling. I prefer my comedy in wrestling to be fun and interesting and entertaining. You know what I mean? Like wild take, I know. But that's why Stalker Ichikawa never bothered me the same way that the indies, over the last, that era where everybody was doing tongue-in-cheek, grab-ass bullshit on the indies, and we were ranting and raving about it. And people say, "Oh, you just don't like fun. It's fun. It's not that fun, and it's not that funny." Like, I don't like stuff that's not funny or fun. I like stuff that's funny, like Stalker Ichikawa, who is always a fucking riot. So I'm always in the mindset that he is probably the best comedy wrestler of all time. A guy that has made me legitimately laugh more times than any other wrestler has made me legitimately laugh. Would that be the case for you too?
Yeah, I've always said that. He's the best comedy wrestler of all time.
He's just incredible. He's got the good look. He gets it. He's just the whole shtick. And by the way, if you want a whole detail about it, there was a great piece written at voiceswrestling.com by Mike Spears, all about the history of Ishikawa, how he started the gimmick, how he got this way. The best part about it is, and Mike brings this up, and Ultimo Dragon brought it up in his interview after the show as well. But when Ishikawa went to the Toryumon Dojo, his idea was, I'm a black tight-wearing strong style guy. And Ultimo just laughed and said, "Here, you're a weird devil guy because you're small and scrawny and you don't look like you can kick anyone's ass. So no, I'm not going to make you a black tight strong style guy. You're going to be a comedy worker." And he's been that exact same character with slight variations from time to time. Essentially for the last 30 years has been that character instead. But I love the idea that he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be a strong style guy," and they're like, "No." No, you're not. No, you're gonna wear devil ears and have a little, spear and stuff. But no, you're not gonna be. So anyway, a lot of detail about the history of Ishikawa there in that piece by Mike Spears. But this is it for him. Wrapping up here in a match with Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now the way this starts is Ishikawa comes out. He is flanked by all the active members of the Toryumon Dojo. They obviously Shima's not there, a couple other guys are not there, but they say all the active members of the Toryumon Dojo, so all the guys he trained with come out with him. They're all in tracksuits. They're all trying to fire him up. Don Fuji's out there like, "Come on, man, you got this. This is your last match. You got this. You got it. And Ishikawa was all confident. Tanahashi comes out to a lukewarm response because everyone's here for Ishikawa. So I love I by the way, I thought this was an incredible segment. This is the most fun I've had with wrestling in probably this year, I think, in total. Like, I just absolutely love this thing from beginning to end. So they're both in the ring. They do the announcements, and I love this. And the crowd played along with this perfectly the entire time because this crowd was here to see Ishikawa retire. So they're making all the declarations. They're getting the match ready. They announce all the heights and the weights or whatever. And then the announcer says, 60-minute time limit. And the crowd goes, "Oh," because they're thinking, this is the time. He's going to go 60 with Tanahashi. Like,
I took it as they laughed. They laughed.
It was sort of a laugh. It was kind of a laugh. Yeah. But then Ishikawa was like, "Yeah, all right, I got 60 to figure this out." But the crowd essentially was like, I don't think we're going to need 60 here. But we'll see. Maybe we're going to need 60.
That was very funny.
Yeah,
that was a very funny touch to announce a 60-minute time limit for a Stalker Ichikawa match.
So then Ishikawa runs over to the ring announcer and grabs the microphone. And this is all being translated by Jay, who's there's English commentary for this too, if you want to watch on the Dragongate Network. So it's Jay and Ho Ho Lun. So Ishikawa grabs the microphone and says, Hiroshi Tanahashi, thank you so much for coming here tonight. And Tanahashi bows, and he bows back, and he says, I really appreciate you being in my retirement match. And Tanahashi bows, and okay. And he goes, you are retiring January 4th, 2026. And Tanahashi goes, yes. And he goes, or are you? Because tonight I am going to retire willingly, but tonight you're not going to retire willingly. I'm going to make you retire. And the crowd goes, yeah. And Tanahashi has a little bit of a look on his face like, are you fucking kidding me? No, you're not going to beat me. You never win. You've never won a match. You haven't won a match in 30 years. You're not going to beat me, dude.
Like, I'm going to retire you tonight.
Right.
Pal.
But he throws the mic down, and Don Fuji and all the guys are like, yeah, get his ass.
They
Go ahead.
fired up.
Yeah, so it's great. So then the bell rings. Ishikawa does 2 big chops. The crowd goes nuts. Chop. Yeah. Tanahashi slaps him, pins him 1, 2, 3. And the crowd
goes, He gave him 2 big overhand chops that Tanahashi didn't. That's totally no sold. And then he just paintbrushed him across the face and pinned him.
And pinned him 1, 2, 3. And the crowd goes, oh. And then they all kind of laugh or whatever. So Ishikawa lies on the mat. And Tanahashi just rolls out of the ring.
Tanahashi gets out of there.
He rolls out of the ring and says, I've done my job.
Playing. Right. He's all right. I won the match.
Go Ace. You know. Go Ace. And he's like, yep, well, I did my part. Yeah.
And Jai was great because he's like, all right, that's it. Let's get Stalker out of there. Give him his pension. Shake his hand. We're all finished here.
Yeah, Jay does a great thing where he's like, all right, let's get on with the festivities. So all the Toryumon guys roll into the ring real quick. All this is all happening in like 10 seconds or whatever. And they do in Japan when you retire, they do a 10 bell salute like they do when you pass away or whatever. So everybody gets in the ring and they start ringing the bell fast as fuck. So it's like ding 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 ding. They go, all right. And then all the Toryumon guys get up and leave. And Ishikawa's like, no, I'm not ready. No, I don't want to retire yet. Like, give me one more chance or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so they start getting everything ready and everybody's like getting up to leave. And he's like, no, please come on. No. And he gets on the mic and says, one more time, Tanahashi, please come back. Please come back and fight me. Come on, give me one more match. I want one more match. I know this was my retirement match, but give me one more retirement match. So, you know, the GM, Ryo Saito, says, all right, fine. Yeah, if Tanahashi says it's cool, we'll do one more match or whatever. So the bell rings. And then, lovely, amazing callback here. Ishikawa, 2 overhand chops.
Yeah.
Tanahashi goes for the slap. Ishikawa ducks it, rolls him up, and the crowd's like, yes, he's going to do it.
Nuts.
Crowd goes nuts. Tanahashi kicks out. And then from that point forward, Tanahashi's like, all right, motherfucker, this is no. And just starts beating on this guy's knee. It becomes a leg match. And Ishikawa's retiring because he has a bad knee. So Tanahashi is screwing this guy. He's drop kicking him in the knee. He's dropping elbows into the knee. He's putting him in like, Texas clover leaves and stuff. And the crowd is just booing the fuck out of Hiroshi Tanahashi. Like he's never been booed before. Just boo, boo every time. Yeah. And he's soaking it up too. Does the air guitar. It's like, fuck all of you, whatever type thing. And then, eventually, despite Ishikawa's best efforts, Tanahashi does pin him. And gets the 1, 2, 3. And then Tanahashi, who we know is a very emotional man, is just an absolute wreck, just bawling his eyes out. Ishikawa's bawling his eyes out. They get in the ring and then they do a proper, send off with an actual 10 bell salute and everybody in the ring. And just a really, really cool and a really emotional moment. But nobody does retirements better than Japan, and nobody does these things better than Dragongate does. They just phenomenal. I love this segment so much.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And it was genuinely funny. The 60-minute time limit absolutely popped me for real. I laughed at that. And the promo, I'm going to retire you tonight.
Right. I'm volunteering retiring, but I'm going to force you into retirement tonight. And I love just Don Fuji's like, yes, that's what we want. That's the energy. Let's go.
Yeah. And he did the dive off the tops of the floor, and Tanahashi just stepped out of the way like Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Like, look at this idiot. Like, who's this? All the classic spots. And he to me, the greatest comedy wrestler of all time. And Dragongate does do the send-offs and retirements like no other promotion. You feel like the emotion is real. There's some unsavory stories about how that guy was treated over the years, if you look hard enough to find them and things like that. But you really got the sense that, when he was cutting his promo on Tanahashi and they were doing some of the comedy stuff, when you looked around ringside at the wrestlers, they were just it was just genuine glee from everybody on the roster. Giant smiles on their face, and because I think they enjoy his antics too.
Yeah,
and because he comes up with this stuff, and it's always so brilliant, and always so smart, and always so funny, and to book Tanahashi of all people for this, it's just
Tanahashi's first match ever in Dragongate too, and the big reason why is they're both from Gifu, so it was the idea that
right.
Stalker's also trying to be like, no, I want to be the wrestler remembered from Gifu, and it's like, no, I don't. I think it's gonna be me.
And how they just rang the bell as fast as possible for the 10 bell to get him out of there.
And everybody Saito's like, all right, we're enough here. Let's go.
All right, let's get out of here. Let's leave. And Jai putting it over to, all right, hand him his pension. Let's go. Let's get him out of here. Just great stuff with the kind of heart that you don't always feel in wrestling that Dragongate always manages to land in situations like this.
But definitely recommend checking this segment out. Very, very emotional, very cool. And like I said, that the article that Mike Spears wrote, the weakest / greatest wrestler ever, a farewell to Hollywood, Stalker Ichikawa. Well worth your time.
Packed Korakuen too. Sell out.
Oh yeah, 1552, hanging from the rafters. Big time for Dragongate too, because they don't sell them out like that much anymore, especially in Korakuen. So that was really cool to see. And it felt like on this night, everybody had their working boots on. I don't know how much of the Fantastic Gate show you watch. We're a little low on time, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I don't know how much of that show you watch, but it felt like that show had a lot more energy than Final Gate, which really did not have much energy at all. I did not like the Final Gate show much at all, aside from the main event.
They had under 1,200 in Korakuen, just for context. They had under 1,200 in Korakuen last time for the King of Gate final.
Yeah.
So big show. And this one sold the place out. And, in Dragon Gate's heyday, they had the longest Korakuen sellout streak in all of Japan, including New Japan and everybody else. They used to really own that building. So Stalker Ichikawa the prelim comedy wrestler sells out Korakuen Hall in his retirement match. So that was it's good to see. And I did watch a couple of the top matches. I thought that the 8-man tag with Hulk and his crew, Hulk, Kajitora, Susumu Yokozuka, and Yamato over Don Fuji, Mochizuki, Tsuji Kondo, and Toru Owashi, who I hate. Can't stand Toru Owashi. I preferred that to the 9-man tag because they did the 3-way, 6-man, 9-man tag. Yeah. I liked the 8-man better, maybe because I have more of a historical connection to a lot of the people that were in it, but I thought it was just a genuinely good match.
Did you watch the Mexico versus Japan match at all? Flamita and Monte versus Jackie Kamei and Rita?
No, I did not.
Okay,
I just
go
watched
back and
the
watch
top
that
3.
One. I think you'd like that one. I think you'd like that a lot. Maybe check that one out, and then
I have that gigantic list of case low Rex that he sent us that I'm gonna work my way through. I've also gotten very good at identifying case low Recs that I know aren't going to land with me. The case low specials, I like to call them. I've gotten very good at identifying those. So it's almost like an art form now, but I'm going to go through that list of Recs from him and get through it. And I'll add that to the pile if he didn't do so himself. But yeah, the final gate show from Fukuoka, I mean, man, that was a real slog to get through. I didn't like the show at all. No energy. I liked Takashi Sagara. They brought in Sagara and Marufuji to face Shun Skywalker and the kid Hamare. Is that how you say it?
Hamare, yeah, Hamare.
The kid we talked about last time who joined Zebrats in that great angle. So they basically just had Sagara totally murk him. Right? And just beat the shit out of him and beat him. I thought that was great. I thought that was a lot of fun. And they had Marufuji and Shun Skywalker kind of teasing a match, which I'd be very surprised if they have a singles match. But Sagara just was left alone with the kid and just fucking destroyed him.
Beat the shit out of him. Yeah, just beat the ever shit out of him.
So that was a really interesting match and a good result. So the kid pays some due, from a storyline standpoint. I mean, Takashi Sagara comes in here from Noah, badass ass kicker for the last 20 years. It all makes sense. It's good to put the little shit in his place, right? So that was fun. And I thought the Twin Gate match was okay. We have new champs, Jason Lee and Kota Minoura.
Yeah. I like that one a decent amount. Flamita and KZ.
Okay.
Yeah, it decent amount. Yeah, that's the Marufuji Sugiura versus Hamare Skywalker match is like weird because it's like I wouldn't traditionally call it a good match, but it's one that you should probably watch because I think it's a cool example. Yeah, it's a cool example of an old guy just beating the shit out of a young guy and telling him you're not ready yet. And you think you could step to me, you cannot.
It's the kind of booking you don't see in a lot of places. Like Dragongate, I'm watching it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a very Dragongate thing to do.
Right. Like Hamare gets hope spots. He gets no comeback. Sugiura just beats him and 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 then pins him. And it's just like over. It's just, you know what I mean? It's like,
and it'd be like, this the kind of thing where then on the next cork and they'd have someone come out and promo on the kid and be like, you're not ready yet. See, you're a loser. You can't, you know what I mean? That's how Dragongate, they have a very unique way of telling their stories a lot of the time that a lot of promotions aren't brave enough to do. A lot of promotions would be afraid to do a move like that because they'd be afraid that the fans would never take the kid seriously, right? But I'm not saying this is the only place you'd see something like this, but it was very much a Dragongate booking move to book the match like that. So, but anyway, they won the Twin Gate from Flamita and KZ. Jason Lee and Minoura. And I thought that match was okay. I thought it was the best match on the show to that point. Yamato and Dragon Dia in the main event, Dreamgate and Bravegate, right? So it got off to a real slow start, and I'm like, all right, we've got classic Dreamgate sleepy Yamato because he has had some of the worst Dreamgate matches, just boring because he tries to work these slow epics and it doesn't work. But the back third of this match was really great.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I stuck with it and paid attention because they really picked it up. The escalation here was notable. And it could have just been another Yamato Dreamgate slog, but it wasn't. And he, at one point I was waiting for him to pull out the wrench, from that's a deep cut.
That is a real
deep cut. But yeah, so and now the story is he says he's going to retire to Bravegate, right? Isn't that the gimmick that he's doing?
Yeah. So in this match, Dragon Dia came into this match as the Bravegate champion, obviously their junior title. If you're not familiar with Dragongate, Yamato has the Dreamgate, which is the main title in the company. This is kind of title for title. So Yamato has both titles now. He's essentially said that if somebody ever beats him for the Dreamgate, then somebody can have a shot at the Bravegate. But for right now, he's not defending that separately. You know what I mean? He's just gonna.
Okay, so that's what it is.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm gonna defend my main belt right now, and the Bravegate will be on ice at least for now. That's how I interpreted it. Maybe someone that's a little bit more familiar with the day-to-day of Dragongate can clarify that. But that was my read on it. Is that I'm not defending this title until I lose the main title, and then when I lose the main title, then maybe I'll defend this other title. But for now, my focus is on the main title.
Right. So that ended up being a really good match.
Yeah. They got there in the end. Yeah. I had the same thought that you did. I was watching this because everybody put it over highly, and I was watching 10 minutes in, and I'm like, I don't know, man. This is just kind of here, and then little by little it got there, and then towards the end it was great. And then, like you said, something that Dragongate does do, better than a lot of other companies is, the veteran just won. You know what I mean? Dragon Dia is not ready for that spot just yet. He got a few slots here and there, but the idea was that, all right, yeah, you went to Best of the Super Juniors, yeah, you're the junior champion or whatever, and yeah, you got a lot of potential, but you're not Yamato yet. You're not this level yet. So when Yamato needed to put him away, he just put him away, and the guy just loses. He loses clean as a sheet in the middle of the ring, and that's okay. But the idea is that Dragon Dia hung with him from time, for parts of the match, and that's what you're supposed to kind of hang your head on. And now Dia can sort of use that as motivation moving forward. Okay, I hung with Yamato. Next time I'm going to be better. And I always appreciate that about Dragongate is that, like you said, they do the guy that's not ready to win a match doesn't win a match better than anybody else. It's just like, no, he's not ready, so he didn't win. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not scared of doing that either. They're not scared. They're not worried about, quote unquote, protecting somebody, because the protection is just that, yeah, they got this spot. They got a chance. They were in the main event. They hung with him for a little bit, but ultimately, no.
I'll tell you what, too. They're also not afraid of burying people when they need to, historically. They'll bury you, too, for, whatever, political reasons. You're not cutting it. You're not getting over. Historically, their booking can be quite ruthless, too. I don't think that's what this was here, but
No. I think they still think very, very highly of Dragon Dia.
No, yeah. My point is just you'll see bold booking moves out of Dragon Gate historically that you don't see in other places a lot of the time. As far as the rest of the show, there was a Triangle Gate change. So the Paradox unit took home the Triangle Gate. That's Hulk, Kagetora, and Yokozuka, in this case, Susumu. And they beat the Z-Brats. This was Ishin, Kai, and Yoshiki Kato. It was fine. I mean, I don't have much to say about it. You have anything to say about it?
Oh, that match? No, not really.
The Triangle Gate match.
No.
Yeah, and then the rest of the show, I mean, the first 3 matches were all the veterans that aren't figured in right now, which is what Dragon Gate loves to do, so it's like, you had Gold Class in the opener, with Luis Monte on the other side, just guys that sometimes are pushed who just aren't being pushed right now, and then Strong Machine J and UT in the second match against, Jackie Funky Kamei and Daiki Yanagiuchi. So it's just guys that aren't figured in. And then a big 8-man tag with a lot of veteran guys.
Yeah, all the old dudes. And then fucking Jiro and Hyo, which that match was fucking dog shit.
This Hyo gimmick has got to go.
No, the cats and the suspenders and the
stuffed animals
go
and
away.
all this bullshit.
Bobby Orlando bullshit. Get out of here. Go away.
It's got to go. I'm tired of this shit. We got to put some toughness back in the wrestling. And Jiro, how I feel about him.
Muted Jiro too. There's very few things are as bad as a Jiro entrance. It's worse when it's a muted Jiro entrance. And I'm watching this thing and I'm
really
like,
no point.
What am I doing? Yeah. I was like watching it and I'm like, no, skip it, Rich. You can't hear the music. Who cares? He's just gonna go around the ring, fuck around with his jacket, pretend like he's gonna go in the ring, fuck around with his jacket, just fucking skip this. You know what this is. Just go to the match. And then when the match is over, I just thought I should have skipped this whole thing. Why did I watch any of this? That's a brutal match.
Yeah. Brutal. And, quote unquote, 2,700 people in Fukuoka for this. Dead, dreary crowd all the way through. I don't even think it was an issue of the English commentary feed on the Dragon Gate service, which a lot of people say, well, look, the English commentary feed sometimes does funny things to the rest of the audio, but this was not a hot crowd by any means.
It sure sounded just okay on Corkin a couple days later. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So, but I'm just putting, because sometimes that is a slight factor. But I mean, obviously, big building with not a lot of people in it, in a show that didn't have a lot of matches that got the crowd up, to be honest. So it was a slog to watch, and I didn't enjoy it. I mean, the work was fine and everything. I gotta be like, those first 3 matches with all the veteran guys, like, I enjoyed those matches more than the middle of the show.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you're just not, you haven't vibed with like any Dragon Gate guy that's debuted in the last 10 years, basically. It's
I have no connection or vibes, like you said, with any of their new guys. That makes it a struggle for me, Shun. I love Shun.
You like? Well, yeah, of course. He's universal. Nobody could possibly tell you that Shun's not good. Yeah, everybody gets.
No, Shun is he's so awesome, and let me try to be fair here.
You like Homare? I think you're in on Homare eventually. Yeah,
Homare. I got my eyes on Homare. He could be something, obviously. Jason Lee's a great worker. Okay. But he's like from outside the system, right? Like, I don't even know if he counts as one of their.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know if he would technically count.
He's something different. And he was there, it's like, he's a different thing. So let's set him aside. But really, since Ben K and those guys, everyone that has come after, I really struggle with. Your Jackie Kameis and your Kota Minoras and your, Ishin. And
who's the one guy? There's the one guy that was the champ that you hated him for. What was? Because I think he's hurt right now. Yoshioka.
Who are you talking about?
Yoshioka. You hated him. Remember when he was the champion for a while?
Yuki Yoshioka.
Yeah.
He's just a charismaless void. I can't stand him. I hate watching him. Kakuta, old hip hop Kakuta. He's all right, but
yeah, he's fine.
He doesn't look like Jordan Oliver anymore. They kind of
no. He got fat and he looks a little different now. Yeah,
he put on some weight. He's got that big dumper now too. Kakuta.
He always had a dumper. That's the thing that they decided to lean into the dumper and decided to
Yeah, it's a bigger dumper now.
Yeah,
he's I like Diamante, but again, he's like he's not a homegrown guy, Luis Monte. You know, it's just yeah, I don't know. I struggle with a lot. It's like they're all good workers, but you know, I don't have to do the whole Dragongate thing again. But this show was just
not going to turn
great,
you. Yeah, not going to turn you. But Fantastic Gate, gives you a little more hope of what that company.
Yeah, you know, I keep watching the recs that I'm given and keeping an eye on it. Can't lie and say I'm super excited about Dragongate because I'm still not. You know, I don't know.
It is what it is.
I don't have anything left to say. You got anything left to say?
I got nothing else. Let's move on to New Japan Strong Style Evolved. 24-35 in the Walter Pyramid for this show. A lot of visible empty seats. Unfortunately, they're yellow seats, so they're pretty visible. When I say visible empty seats, very, very visible. There's also 7 empty seats right in front of the hard cam, which is not ideal. I usually want to fit that. With that said, the crowd was hot and made that show a lot better. I mean, there's some New Japan Strong shows that are just done in these voids, and it just sounds awful and it looks awful. This, you know, empty seats aside, this crowd was hot as hell for the entire show and raised the level of a lot of matches too. So I'll give them credit there. And I thought this was the best New Japan Strong show I've seen in months. Maybe Windy City Riot would be the next closest, right? I think that would be. I mean, I don't think there's another contender since that. I mean, that was what, April or whatever.
I don't remember what was on those other shows, but well, look, you start with the main event, which was a great match. You know, Mercedes and Hazuki, and all that really tells me is stop doing 3-ways. Weren't they in a 3-way that like wasn't that great? And you know, you put them and you just put 2 good workers in a match and tell them to have a good title match, and then they went out there and killed it. I thought it was Mercedes' best match she's had since she's left WWE.
I was really annoyed that you said that on the Dynamite review because my notes say hot take. That is Mercedes' best match outside of WWE. Because I agree. That blew away the Willow match. That blew away the Statlander match. That blew away Stephanie Vakir. It blew. I thought this was far and away her best match she's had post WWE. No doubt about it.
Yeah, there was an early New Japan match. Let me find the one I really liked. It was I want to make sure I get it right. Kyrie at Battle in the Valley last year, 2023.
Yeah.
That one is a strong contender as well, but I think I prefer this one. The Kyrie match was good. But I think this one was better. And yes, at Sakura Genesis in Sumo Hall, she wrestled Hazuki in the 3-way with AZM. Remember?
Right.
And that couldn't hold a candle to this match.
No.
I mean, it's just these 3-ways and 4-ways got to go. We got to break the cycle of this bullshit, you know? And then Mercedes comes right back and has a really good match against Anna Jay of all people.
She's had a good run.
Very good.
She's starting to feel confident again. I don't know what it was, or because I know everybody was coming up with excuses and stuff, and it's like,
well, just let her wrestle.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck.
Yeah,
you know,
I think what we're seeing is the best way to use Mercedes is to have her wrestle matches. You know what I mean? Like, just go and wrestle
she
matches.
Just needs to wrestle. That's
not
exactly
talk,
it.
not dance, not run people over with her car, not do backstage promos or championship celebrations. Just fucking wrestle.
Yep.
Just wrestle.
I mean, that's the best use of her. And, you know, I understand there were some empty seats, but I really like this venue for New Japan.
Yeah,
I like when they run this venue. It's a professional venue. It's a different looking kind of venue. It's not cookie cutter, but it's also like a real venue. You know, Long Beach State plays their basketball games there. And it, you know, when they're good, it's a really tough place to play. And because of for whatever the logistics of the building or whatever, it's really holds the sound well, and it comes through on these shows because this crowd came across very hot. Even though the building wasn't full, the crowd came across very hot. And Monet retains, and then Mina Shirakawa comes out, and you know, so that'll be her next opponent. I think they're doing that at Wrestle Dynasty.
The 5th, yeah, they're doing that on the 5th.
You know, and then you know they danced, and did you see that fucking YouTube comment? It's the funniest fucking thing. So it was either Instagram or YouTube. Someone put up a GIF of them dancing, and someone said they dance like GTA strippers, and I fucking
it's
lost
so perfect.
it.
Yeah,
that is the most accurate burn that I've heard in some time, because they look like fucking GTA strippers. It's so accurate. She's in there doing her CEO dance, and then Nina's doing whatever the fuck she does with the titty shake. And it's like you're controlling Trevor in GTA 5 and you're walking into the fucking strip club.
I was going CJ in San Andreas, go to that strip club there.
Either one works.
Right.
Either one works.
While Hollywood Swinging is playing in San Andreas.
Yeah. They could be PS2 strippers too.
Yeah.
I mean, that works as well. Whatever system you want to go with. But that's
that's one that lands. It's like if you know, and if you know,
you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you know, you're just like, that's the greatest, that's the best thing ever. Yeah.
The accuracy is deadly. No, but it was a really great match to cap off what was a really strong show. I don't know if we, here's the thing about it. There really wasn't a quote unquote bad match on the show, but there really wasn't any other great matches. I feel like if that match hadn't landed, we might have a different interpretation and feel coming out of the show. But because it ended,
it's always important.
It's such a great match.
The main event's so important.
Always important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because everything else was okay. It's like, all right, well, this was a really good show because it was an okay show. Like the undercard flew by because everything was pretty decent. And then you get the great main event, so that leaves you with a good taste in your mouth when it's all over. And Walker Stewart is becoming very good. I talked about the written reviews I did behind the paywall earlier, and he commentates he did some commentary work for Inspire AD, and he called that Robbie Eagles Little Evil match that I reviewed. And I put him over stronger than the wrestlers in the match. I spent 2 paragraphs talking about Walker Stewart's commentary because he's so good and he is getting so much better, and he's still 23 or 24 years old, just filling in the background information, getting you all caught up on what you need to know. And he does it in a calm. Every indie commentator should be watching his shows and taking notes on how he does play-by-play. Right. He is so much better.
He's not screaming at you. He's not yelling at you. He's not.
He never screams. He knows when to lift the emotion to the appropriate level. And he's just he's getting more reps. He's taking indie, and he's just so good, and calling all those New Japan shows is he does his homework. He gets his facts straight. It's hard to describe, but the way he put Robbie Eagles over in that Inspire match, he let everybody know who Robbie Eagles was and how he was from New Japan, and he gave all the background on Robbie Eagles and everything without taking it too far and making it seem like he's a much bigger star than all of the Inspire wrestlers. Do you know what I mean when I say that? It's a fine line to walk. And a mistake a lot of indie commentators will make is a star will come from New Japan or AEW or someone that just got released from WWE, right? Someone who's clearly a bigger star than everybody else on the show. And the commentary will go so crazy putting the person over that it makes everyone else look small. We've all seen that.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And I thought in that match, and it's on YouTube if people want to check it out, even if they just watch the first few minutes to hear what I'm talking about, he walked that line of putting Robbie Eagles over without going too far and also extolling the virtues of Little Evil to where it didn't make Little Evil look smaller than Robbie Eagles. And that's not easy to do. And a lot of indie commentators, they get lost in the moment. They're so excited to be calling a match of some big star that's coming into their territory for a one-shot that it's inadvertently disrespectful to the rest of the roster. And Walker Stewart is so good at his job that he nailed that so well. I mean, it was so good. And he was great on this show. And like you said, he's not yelling and screaming at you. He's not, he's not raising his emotion levels at the wrong time. He's not getting overly excited at prelim matches. He does such a good job. I wanted to note that because we hear him all the time on New Japan, but especially this week, between that match I reviewed and between this show, I just wanted to make sure I put that out there.
I don't think people know that he does other stuff. I've heard him on a couple. He does Inspire. He's available. U.S. Indies, you can have him come on whenever you need to. You know what I mean? There's plenty of he's available to have come on to your show, and he will travel and do that sort of stuff. So he's a guy that Or what you should do is if you can't afford him or you can't book him because he's already busy doing other stuff. have your commentators listen to him and say, try to be like this guy.
Everyone needs to study him.
Yes.
I'm serious. And I think he's got a real future in this.
Well, the fact that he's like disgustingly young, like stupid, annoying young is even more, because like these people that should know better and aren't better are getting absolutely clowned and destroyed by this kid who's, 22, 23 years old or whatever he is. It's just insane.
When he's in your booth, you feel like you have a real pro in the booth, as opposed to, I don't know, this is a guy who's friends with the promoter who's available and will do it for $25. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but that's the reality of indie wrestling sometimes, right? And it's like, this guy, when he's in the booth and calling your show, you feel like you have a professional commentator calling your show. And at this point, I think he has now surpassed some of the professionals that we do here in some of the, mid-tier or larger, promotions, one step above the indie.
I would, my hot take would be he's better than some people that we hear every single week on television.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. They're being asked to do some different things sometimes, and I understand that, but you're not wrong. I mean, he has a real future. I don't think we've heard it. We've seen his progress in real time. He could always get better. But I do think that he's someone who does have a real future. Anyway, outside of Mane and Hazuki, I really like Hechicero and Lio Rush. I thought that was probably the second best match on the show. What'd you think of Gabe Kidd and Ryohei Oiwa?
I didn't love it. I can't lie. I didn't love it. I thought I was going to like it a lot more than I did. I got two things to say about this. I'm not a body guy. You know that, Joe. I'm an effort guy, right?
Yeah.
I think Oiwa's got to put a little bit more effort in. I thought he's getting a little...
I didn't notice that.
He was a brick shithouse a little bit ago. Maybe he used to be a brick shithouse. He's kind of...
Yeah, he used to be all thick in the upper body, and you're telling me he's
a little flabby. Well, not.
He was looking like prime Tanahashi when he came back.
Yeah.
Upper body. And,
yeah, I don't think he's looking like that anymore.
Rich the body shamer. Rich has always been a body shamer. You know what I didn't like about this match? It was very deliberate, and then Gabe Kidd hits the doctor bomb, and the crowd really got going. Then they did a ref bump.
Mm-hmm.
Right when I was starting to get into it, they did the ref bump, and you know what? Now I'm out. Clark Connors comes down.
Right.
Kosei Fujita comes down.
Heat. We're douchebags. Look at us. We're such douchebags. Heat. And just the Gabe Kidd thing too is just it's too much. I really want to like Gabe Kidd, and I know that some people think that that's like good heel work or whatever. Just it's not though. It's just baby's first heel shit. You know what I mean? Every single second of time that he's not in the ring, he's looking at a guy in the crowd telling him to go fuck himself. Fuck you. You fucking suck. You suck. Fuck you.
Well,
okay, I get it. I got it, dude.
He even the promo where he's Omega and he's like, and all the AEW pussies. Like, calm down.
It's just edgelord shit, man. It's just, come on. Be a heel without having resort to saying fucking pussy and... You know what I mean?
I don't mind a little spicy language.
No, that's fine, but it's all he has. It's all he has.
Yeah, it's and he's facing Ishii in San Jose. They set that up as well. But yeah, once they did the ref bump, I don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just over it. The War Dog shit. Anyway.
Yeah, I had the Circle Doesn't match I was really, really, really looking forward to, and was to be my match of the night, and I ended up kind of like, Yeah, but the rest of the show I thought was better. Like the rest of the show that I wasn't as excited about was all better, and it was like, oh, okay. Like this match that I was looking forward to, disappointed, but pretty much I think everything else on the show was better than I thought it would be. So
Hechicero was over as fuck again. I mean, that guy is he's the Lucha Ishii. American and Western crowds, they love that guy. I always do that. Mexico isn't the West. You get the idea. When he travels abroad, fans love that guy, no matter where he goes. Similar to Ishii, where he may be more loved outside of his own home promotion. That Johnny Robbie. So I was getting text messages after last week's show that people were surprised we weren't familiar with Johnny Robbie. Well, were you familiar with her? Because I wasn't.
I was not.
And she was okay. Yeah, I mean, it was a decent match with Mina Shirakawa. She looked like Johnny Robbie looked like someone who could have something, down the line. She didn't embarrass herself or anything.
No, she looked fine. She's still pretty young, I think, so plenty of time. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't see her as like a can't miss prospect, but somebody to keep your eye on, I guess.
So they belted up the West Coast Wrecking Crew.
Yes, they did. Goddamn right they did.
And then they jumped Rocky, so it'll be Rocky and Yo as the challengers. Get into it, Rich. West Coast Wrecking Crew.
Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaac. Just when you thought it was safe to go back to New Japan Strong, yeah, they're your champs, man.
So the TJP, Clark Connors, Kosei Fujita, Kushida 4-way preview to the 4-way junior match at the Dome. It was a good 4-way. It's not a match I was super looking forward to because I'm still annoyed at what they've booked for the Dome, but you had 4 good workers in there, and they had a really high energy, solid 4-way match. Again, I didn't think anything on this undercard was even reached very good. It was all either
it was fine or good. Yeah, fine to good. Exactly. Good. Yep.
Yeah. But when you have a great main event, it lifts everything. So that's surprising. So Templario joins United Empire, and they're in there. It's Templario and Jacob Austin Young against Hiromu and Teton. And this was stunning to me because I thought Jacob Austin Young was just there to lose.
Absolutely.
And they won. So
because Teton's always there to lose. If you ever need a guy to lose, there's Teton, I guess. So
I mean, Teton got the big run in Super Juniors 2 years ago and all that. And so it's like I thought, all right, they're putting Templario in the group and it'd be ideal to have him win, but you could have him still get over and have the other guy lose. But they didn't go that way. They had the United Empire win. So that was a truly surprising finish, which you don't get a lot of in pro wrestling. And I thought the stuff with Teton and Templario was great. I thought when those two were in there, their work together was really great.
I'm excited for Templario in New Japan proper a little bit more. I think he's going to be great there. Yeah, he's going to be great.
Yeah. So Saber, Bad Dude Tito, and Shane Haste over Rosser, Lawler, and Shota Umino. Lawler with the suspenders. Lawler falling off the top rope. Not a great night for Lawler.
Nah.
But this finish needs to be seen. Bad Dude Tito got put over huge here. He hit that fucking pile driver on Lawler. And I thought Lawler was dead. Maybe it's because a lot of people aren't doing pile drivers these days and it's a protected move and everything. But, he had Lawler straight up and down and he drilled him. And man, did Bad Dude Tito come across like $1 million here. And I think that was the idea. I'm not opposed to pushing that guy.
Hell
he looks great.
No, push Bad Dude Tito for God's sakes. Why not?
He's a bad motherfucker. He looks great. He's something different in a wrestling world where we got Hyo running around with stuffed animals. We got Bad Dude Tito right here. Which is he's like he's like the remaining of a dying breed.
He's a dude that if he. You could plop him in 7 years ago into Big Japan in the Strong division, or you could have matches in All Japan with Joe Doring back in those days or whatever. You know what I mean? That he could be one of those guys. And I'd say, let's make him one of those guys. He can be that guy. Let's do it. We need more of those guys. And Bad Dude Tito can be one of those guys. So I'm all in on it. I love it.
Yeah. So we had Jack Perry and Takeshita. Very odd pairing. They have nothing to do with each other in AEW, but they're here against Shingo and Yota Tsuji, their opponents on the bigger shows coming up. And I thought the stuff with Shingo and Takeshita was incredible. They're going to have such a great match. It's going to be disgusting how great that match is going to be if everything lands. And this was a great preview of that. Jack Perry was actually getting some great heat on this show. I'm not a big Jack Perry guy. I have to be fair.
They hated him here.
I have to be fair. He was getting great heat on this show and playing up to it. And then, of course, the heels win, and then we get the stuff with the Bucks in the aftermath because the Bucks are facing Great O'Khan and is it Templario?
It is. Let me clarify
Great
that.
O'Khan and for the vacant tag team titles, I think it's Templario.
I think you're right, but let me double check here just to make
that'd be on the 5th.
Purposes of posterity. It is still TBD. Still TBD. Great O'Khan and TBD.
It's Templario.
Okay.
I think it's Templario. Where are you seeing that?
Wikipedia still says it as TBD.
See if I could. Japan Pro Wrestling 1972.
Yeah, see if they got it there. Are they still
why
on medium?
Why did I?
Are they still
why
on
do
medium?
I think it's Templarium? Yeah, the mediums. That I could be wrong, but why do I think that? Why is that in my head? Yeah, everything. Maybe I made that up. I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't. It makes sense. Does it not make sense? But yeah, I don't know that that's.
Yeah, but maybe I didn't actually hear that. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah. So the Bucks showed up as a surprise and cut a little promo and everything. So they're from the area. Hop, skip, and a jump. They talked about the match they had against the Golden Lovers in that building, which was a great match and everything. So, yeah, no, it was, and that's we talked about the rest. So yeah, it was a hot crowd, and I thought it was a pretty good show, capped off with an incredible main event that lifted everything else up. And it's a good example of what a hot crowd can do for a show. Because the crowd definitely helped the show.
Definitely. Yeah, but a good show and well worth your time. And this one was not a pay-per-view either. So if you go on New Japan World, you can just, I think, still available to view.
It's there. That's where I watched it.
Yeah, I watched it live. I watched it live as it was going on, and I think it's still, on demand. You watched it because you just watched it.
I watched it on demand,
right?
Yeah, I just saw it on New Japan World. I think the last one it was on New Japan World too. So I think they've changed that.
Yeah,
because I think I watched. Yeah, so I don't know. They're not like blocked where you have to pay like $19.99 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm guessing that didn't sell a lot, so they thought, you know what, if we're going to sell tickets to these shows, maybe we should just make it available for people to watch or whatever, which is a good idea. So I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, who knows?
But that's Strong Style Evolved, and that is it for this week on the Flagship. Next week is obviously a very weird week with the holiday. Stay tuned. We will have details about what if we do a show next week and when it'll be and how it'll work and all that sort of stuff. So it's a weird week with the holiday and days off and families, whatever. We'll figure it out next week. But yeah, that's all I got. So flagshippatreon.com. Make sure you subscribe. Today, $5 tier gets you all of our bonus audio. $10 tier gets all of the live instant reaction shows, plus bonus write-ups, plus everything we do. Also a free tier if you want to jump on in and see what we do. A little bit of posts you get for free, and you'll also get informed when any new posts get made. So if there's something you like, you got on that free tier, you can say, oh, shit, yeah, I'm into that. And then you can upgrade and listen to that or read it or whatever it may be. But that is it for us. So that is Joe. I am Rich. If we don't talk to you then, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all you guys, and we will talk to you again next time. Take care. Bye.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragongate is how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragongate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.